And what has to be one of the best storylines in the bye week of the NFL and their Super Bowl of all time is this Bill Belichick story. Welcome aboard. We appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you so much. I mean, make no mistake about it. Usually during this time, you're trying to look for topics. Plus, obviously, it's now day 16 of the Philadelphia Eagles and nobody wanting the OC job. I don't care what anyone wants to frame it as, and I don't care the people that covered the team and how they're trying to frame it. Make no mistake about it, they're having a tough time landing on an offensive coordinator. I don't care how you want to frame it. Hit the like button. Supers go to the top. We appreciate you guys. All right. So listen, let's start with this Bill Belichick story and not him being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Folks, if Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, anything that Nick Sirianni ever does in his entire career will never, ever shape up to be a first ballot Hall of Famer or eventually even a Hall of Famer. What these 11 writers did and voters, by the way, Howard Eskin is going to join us. Howard Balzer is going to join us. That'll be at 5:30. He was in the room and he's one of the 50 voters for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's on the Veterans Committee and he's also on the Modern Day Committee. So we will talk with Howard. That'll be at 5:30. Howard Balzer. Battle Royale will be at 4:30. Big Z will be with us at 3:30. All right. So here's my takeaway with it. I mean, this is not an indictment on Bill. 334 victories, numerous division championships, 31 wins as a head football coach in the postseason, 8 rings in total, 6 as a head. Coached 2 of the greatest players in the history of the National Football League, and Lawrence Taylor and Tom Brady. His record is synonymous with the National Football League. You can't tell the story of the NFL without Bill Belichick. Sills, what this Adam Schefter was talking about, change is coming soon with the Eagles. Can you ask Clint Hurt? We'll get to that. I saw that on, I believe it was on 97.5. On what Adam Schefter. See, I think it's got to do with Lane Johnson. And potentially Lane Johnson retiring. I think that's coming next week. I think Lane's calling it a career next week. I don't think it has anything to do with any kind of trades of a head coach or what have you. I think it's got to do with Lane Johnson retiring. But that's just me. So we'll hit more on that. And Kyle, thank you so much for the super. All right. So 11 voters believe that Bill Belichick's not a first ballot. And supposedly this has been spearheaded by that liar, Bill Polian, who got his ass kicked his entire general manager's career by Bill Belichick in Buffalo and also in Indianapolis. Got his ass handed to him. This is petty. It's an indictment on the Hall of Fame and the voters. By the way, Jared Bell even came out and said, don't clump me into this. Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. How about this here too? Anything that Sirianni does or anything that anybody else does, you're going to question their guys and those guys' resumes. Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not a first ballot. Also, ask yourself this. If you're going to hold Deflategate and you're going to hold Spygate against them, so Tom Brady's not a first ballot. And once again, he didn't cheat, as far as I'm concerned. He didn't cheat. Coaches did that and have done that for decades. Everyone's done that. Okay? I mean, everybody trying to steal signs. They steal signs in baseball. Whatever. And that's petty and dumb and whatever. So Tom Brady then has to sit out. And he ain't a first ballot. In your eyes, in this real zeal, Tom Brady, get this, then Tom Brady, according to this guy, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Because he scuffed the footballs up and because he put 1 extra pound of air in a football, according to that guy, because he put an extra PSI in a football, that's what he thinks cheating means. And that indicated and dictated the outcome of a game because of 1 extra PSI. Is that right? Wait a second here. So, again, 1 PSI in a football, you think resulted in 6 Super Bowls. So let me ask you this here. Real Zeal. 1 extra PSI in a football in Deflategate, in your opinion, was the... No. I'm asking you an opinion. Let's release those votes. If these anonymous... Right. I asked Jason Cole this morning. Again, okay? So you take 1 less PSI out. You think that resulted in 6 Super Bowls? I used to watch Phillip Rivers scuff the footballs up and take air out of the football every single day and every single year. I mean, you're kidding me, right? Of course they do it. Quarterbacks scuff the footballs up all the time. Absolutely. Bill Polian is an asshole and a liar. Bill Polian came out a couple years ago trying to tell people that he had a first-round grade on Tom Brady, when nobody in their right mind had a first-round grade on Tom Brady. Nobody had a first-round grade. You diminish yourself, and you diminish the Hall of Fame, and you disrespect the game. He's the greatest coach that's ever coached, especially in the salary cap era. There's just no getting around it. It's an absolutely egregious. And by the way, there's no way anybody at ESPN who has a vote like Rich Cimini or any of them other guys voted yes. I'll bet you $10,000. Paul Domowitz, I bet you if you ask Paul Domowitz, he didn't vote for him. Guarantee you. Because he's a high and mighty liberal guy too. Now, let me ask you this. And let's go here. And I'm going to go here. So, if you have a political, let me go here. Let me double check here. I'm going to double check something here. Let's see here. Okay. So, Robert Kraft has a long personal relationship with Donald Trump that spans over 25 years. While Kraft has expressed support for Trump, noting his kindness when difficult times, okay, they have had a long-standing relationship, as Tom Brady has, with the President of the United States. They're supporters of Trump. If you're a supporter of Trump, should that play into a factor when you're thinking about voting for somebody for the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? If you're a supporter of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, should that play a factor in you selecting a guy to the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? I mean, whether you like Trump or not, how does that play into the football resume? Okay? The reason I'm asking you this, I'm asking the most ridiculous questions because at the end of the day, it has to be something. Not in voting for the Hall of Fame. Well, wait a minute. Personal opinions have gone into the voting of Bill Belichick for the Hall of Fame. His political beliefs. He's a friend of Donald Trump's as well. His support of Trump. his way of how he handled himself with the media, all off the field matters. Should off the field matter when talking about Hall of Fame? Now, look, if there was a bylaw in there that said, if the guy doesn't have good character and he's an asshole, you could put that into your equation on how you look. There's nothing like that. Okay? There is nothing like that. All right? No, it is more than Trump. It's all of it. Political beliefs, the way he treated the media, how he had progressive thinking on how to stretch the rules. All of that. Yes, all of it has played a factor. Should all of that matter? This is a tremendous exercise for people. You know why? It shows you how petty people are in this world. Paul Domowitz got on my ass because you know why? I supported Trent Cole. Because Trent Cole supports Donald Trump and said that I lost all respect for a person like Trent Cole because he supports that guy. I'll give you another guy. I wasn't going to do this ever, but Marcus Hayes said the same thing. I made a comment about Donald Trump, and I got a text message from Marcus Hayes from the Inquirer. You know why he's not on anymore? Marcus Hayes is not on anymore because I made a comment about Trump showing up at the Army-Navy game and supporting the troops and supporting the Army-Navy game and said that was great for the president to do that. You know what he said to me? He goes, well, you can have it, and you can basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, you could support that Nazi guy anytime you want. Our friendship is over. Okay? Marcus Hayes said that to me. I still have text messages. I wasn't saying anything that was over the top. I was just making a comment that it was great to see the president at the Army-Navy game. And that's all I said. And then Marcus texted me and went all in. I showed Xander. Wow. You build our friendship on thanking the president of the United States for showing up to support our troops in Army-Navy game? Okay. Well, I'm not going to waver on that. He said, I thought you changed. Changed. I never changed. People around me that cover me, those are the people that are the problem. I'm not the problem. You are. And how you see things. I cover sports. Okay? Okay? I don't have a problem with you saying that. But when we're talking about it infecting the Hall of Fame vote, I do have a problem with that. I completely agree, Sean. You have every right to think that way. I completely agree. Okay? 1,000% you have a right to go down that lane. My kid goes down that lane. I have no problem with that thinking. Everyone has a right in this country to believe what they want. But when it starts infecting common sense and right and wrong and how you cover something, your vote should be taken from you. All 11 of those men and women who decided not to put Belichick into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on a first ballot should have their votes taken. Why? You're taking your political views and your personal views of a man, and you're judging him not based on the content of what his resume says, but what you feel is best and what you want in a person. Well, that's an opinion. Resumes don't lie. You kept Bill Belichick out based on your opinion, not facts. 334. You can't get around that. You know, the coolest thing about sports is this. You can't change scoreboard. You cannot change the scoreboard. In politics, they didn't win the election. This guy over here didn't win the election. They didn't win it. Okay? They didn't win. And you're like, you watch the news. If you want to get depressed, you watch the news. When you come to sports, you kind of get away from that. This is why liberals and conservatives hate sports. You know why? Scoreboards don't lie, dude. Resumes don't lie. You can't move resumes. Okay? You can't move resumes. And by the way, I'm not trying to I'm not picking any side. I'm picking the one side that's the right side. You know what that is? I don't care what you think of Bill Belichick and his chick, how he conducts himself off the field. There's no bylaw that says that you have to put that into context. End of the day here, guys, you discredit the game. Dan, read Jimmy Johnson's tweet. I mean, I have. And it's a good idea. Okay? So Jimmy Johnson, who never goes on a rant. I've never heard Coach go on a rant before. And when I was watching Coach Johnson's Twitter page, his X page, and I was watching these, he was saying stuff like this. So Dave Portnoy said, hey, Jimmy, hear me out. Florida Keys, Isle Morada, Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'll buy Woods, that old strip club is for sale, and turn it to a new Hall of Fame. Me, you, Barstool, and Gruden run it. Dave, I'm in. I have a lot of pro football and college coaches that come down here. Let's do it. Pretty cool. One of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, this is his X page. I'd like to know the names of the assholes. Coach Johnson's posting this on X. I'd like to know the names of the assholes who did not vote for him. They're cowards. Then you go down the lane here. If they are using the excuse of Spygate, that's ridiculous. Many teams, including ourselves, tried it. Howard Mudd at Kansas City, who later coached for Bill Polian and Tony Dungy, gave us the idea. He was the best at it. We didn't get anything and stopped, but many teams gave it a try. Didn't get anything out of it. Coach Johnson doesn't go on rants. He doesn't go on rants. What's crazy is now the headline is on Bill not getting in and not all the other players. Abuse of power. Yeah, what you've done is you've made 11 votes matter. How's he not unanimous? Like I said, dude, Nick Sirianni or any coach who potentially will go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's a joke now. You'll never in your entire life have the resume of Bill Belichick. And you're a first ballot? Andy Reid's not a first ballot Hall of Famer now. He's not. Sean McVay's not. Your love boy, Nick Sirianni, will never be. He'll never get to that point. If Bill Belichick's not a first ballot, none of those guys will ever be. Hurts' contract has to be restructured in the offseason, and his guarantees is done at the end of 26. How are you going to work his magic? With his beer can head. Win for Coach Johnson. Absolutely. Liberals can't even tell you what a woman is. Listen, I'm not going to go down the political lane here, but I'm saying to you, politics, how he handled himself. He's a first ballot. Why did Goodell burn the tapes? I don't know. Sills, do the Ravens have a new OC yet? I'm not sure if the new head coach, Jesse Minter, has named one yet. I think they're still trying to figure out what they're doing with Lamar. Hall of Fame voters did the same shit to T.O. Yeah. T.O.'s Was T.O. ever arrested? Was T.O. ever arrested? Was T.O. ever suspended? Was he? I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. What was Terrell Owens ever suspended from the game? And was T.O. suspended? And here, let me see. Was T.O. suspended? Was T.O. suspended? Suspended by the Eagles in November for conduct detrimental to the team following a critical comment about the organization. Wow. Sounds very Bob Langish. So he was never suspended for a character like beating someone, going to jail. He was suspended for saying something bad about Donovan McNabb and the Eagles. That's what he was suspended for? Okay. So theoretically, T.O. never did really anything wrong, except tell the truth about how the organization conducts itself and how Jeffrey Lurie hates any bad will or any kind of bad narrative against this team. He was suspended for bad narrative. Okay, whatever. Conduct detrimental because he said something bad about the organization. That's why you suspended Terrell Owens? Jesus, criminy. Talk about soft. Seals, the Jalenites are the only fan base who think throwing for 100 yards is okay. We're talking about the National Football League. Pump, I hear you. Okay? T.O. very tame by modern standards. Right. Well. Seals, I do know for a fact that Skip Bayless had a huge hand in blackballing T.O. because he called Jeff Garcia, during his tenure in San Francisco. You guys make Jeff Garcia sound like Jeff Garcia was Johnny Unitas, or that he was Tom Brady, or like Jeff Garcia was some sort of superstar player. Jeff Garcia was a dude. Jeff Garcia was okay. I wouldn't put Jeff Garcia in the category of being one of the great quarterbacks in pro football history. We're not talking about a benchmark quarterback. We're talking about a journeyman quarterback. So T.O. talks shit on Jeff Garcia. So what? I mean, Jeff Garcia is a dude. Really, honestly, Jeff Garcia. So you're making Jeff Garcia out to be some sort of superstar guy? The guy was okay. He was a guy. Hey, you see what he did to Garcia? So what? Jeff Garcia? I always laughed at that argument. You see what he did to Garcia? Who? Prince, elections are selections. When these politicians get into office, they don't want to be bothered. They are ripping the taxpayers off by not helping their constituents. Absolutely. Hey, listen, when you become a politician today, you're a movie star. When you become a politician today, you know what you become? When you're a politician, you're a celebrity now. You don't represent the country, and you don't represent your constituents, like you said. So can you find out who's doing the voting? Yeah, it's 50 guys. Why do you think we put Hall of Fame voters on? What does this have to do with the Eagle search? What's this have to do? They got a brand new head football coach, Gabe. Are you trying to tie the same thing by hiring a new head football coach who's putting a staff together in Baltimore versus a head coach who's still in place with the same offensive line coach versus looking for 16 different guys? It's not the same. How are you putting that into the same job search. What he's trying to do is nobody's ripping Lamar Jackson because they haven't hired an OC, even though the same freaking head coach is still in the building. Jesse Minter's putting a brand new staff together. They're trying to put an offensive staff. He's a defensive coach. They're looking for the best guy that they can find and come up with. It's not the same thing, dude. They're not just looking for an OC. They're looking for multiple coaches across the board. But you see what the Jalenites do? They try coming up with some shit going, look, same shit's going on in Baltimore. Nobody's bitching about that. Bro, you didn't fire your coach. You didn't fire your entire offensive coaching staff. Baltimore did. Stupid comparison. He's trying to tell you, look, Lamar's not getting shit. The new head coach is putting a staff together, not just an OC. Jalenites live, man. They'll come up with every excuse on the planet for that guy. And I'm not even putting this on Jalen. So speaking of on the fence Hall of Famers, Eli and Phillip Rivers Hall of Fame. Mind you, both guys have HOF stats in the all-time passing yards. Yeah, both of those guys. Phillip Rivers is more of a Hall of Famer to me than Eli is, but Eli's got the 2 Super Bowls and they're both MVPs. He's going in, dude. The Eagles have 99 problems and Hurts ain't one. Yeah, that's probably right. As a matter of fact, have you really heard? Now, listen, I do think that the coordinators don't want to coach the guy because get this, it's not that they don't like Jalen. They don't want to coach that style of quarterback. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Hey, I don't want to go to work at a place that does political talk. I want to go to a place that works sports. Kind of same thing with me. I don't want to go to work for Fox News or CNN. I want to work at sports places. Why? Because that's kind of my room. And that's my lane, is sports. You want me to do something different? I don't want to do anything different. Oh, the New England guys at the Boston Herald and the other one, the Globe. There's no doubt they didn't vote. Dan Shaughnessy, Belichick sued both newspapers. They hate both. Bill had a bad relationship with the Boston media. There's no way. No way. As a matter of fact, bro, M. Reyes isn't perfect for IP. George Soros owns that thing. Well, not me. Baltimore did the right thing. Nick Bumass should be fired. Jalenites assemble. Bill Belichick, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. Well, then no one is. As a matter of fact, Bill Belichick and Bob Kraft have more accomplishments than Drew Brees. They were the most qualified people of anyone being considered for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, I mean, it's a joke. Big Z will join us at 3:30. Battle Royale 4:30. Howard Balzer at 5:30. We will talk with him. So, what is going on? And why are we now in day 16 of the Eagles' search for the offensive coordinator? I want you to do me a favor. Give me 3 reasons. 3 reasons why you think this search is taking so long. By the way, anybody that says that people aren't turning this job down, you're out of your mind. Get this. So let me get this right. How many guys have taken their name out of consideration? 7? So are you under the impression that the Eagles have said no 7 times to candidates? How many people believe that the Eagles have offered the job? I do. So let me get this right. The Eagles have not offered the job, and like 7 or 8 people have taken their name out of consideration. What does that tell you? What would that tell you? That 7 or 8 people have taken their name out of consideration. The easiest landing pad would be, well, they weren't offered the job, Sills, right? Okay, well, here's the other side of it. Here's the other side. It's not what the Eagles are looking for in an OC. They have a different description of what an offensive coordinator is. And it's not conventional with the rest of the league. What's that line you use, Xander? Eagles are a different organization. They do things different. Maybe that job that they call offensive coordinator is not a standard offensive coordinating job. It's got different parameters to it. Would you not agree? Their definition of offensive coordinator might not be the same as Cleveland, the Chargers, Buffalo. Would we not agree? Right? Quarterback might play into this. Tell me nobody wants to work with shitty Nicky. Well, I think Marsh, how about this? Do we agree? If 7 people have taken their name out of consideration, whether you believe the Eagles didn't offer them the job or whether you believe they were and these guys denied the job and didn't want it, something has defined the job where people pull their name out of and the Eagles don't think they're good fits. What is that? Why is the Eagle OC job so different than any other job that's out there? And if they're having such a tough time finding candidates, doesn't that tell you exactly what we're saying? The definition of offensive coordinator in Philly is redefined. You call Nick's plays. Like it or don't. If you don't like it, you're not a candidate. Someone should get up and spray Sirianni with apple cider vinegar at the next press conference. Kidding. I saw what happened up in Minneapolis. I don't get the apple cider vinegar thing. No. Keep blaming Nick for running the Jalen offense. No OC wants to come here. They can't use the passing scheme. They don't want to be blamed for Hurts's failures. Well, John, yeah. I just said it. John, think about it. Thanks for the supers. Appreciate it, guys. Hit the like button. So the definition of offensive coordinator is different in Philadelphia than anywhere else. You've got 16 different candidates. And get this. You're now landing on people who, here we go again, have no experience in play calling. Nothing's changed. If you have one candidate that has never been a play caller and you're interviewing that guy, why'd you fire Kevin Patullo? This is why the day you fired him, what were my comments? My comments were, it's an irrelevant hire. It was an irrelevant hire, and it's an irrelevant fire. You're hiring 2.0 Kevin Patullo. You don't know who this Sean Minion is. If he's going to be a good OC. In that environment, how do you know? You're calling Nick's plays. You got a quarterback Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts are 2 different guys. We need a new quarterback. We're literally running out of options and coaches for Jalen. Someone who will never be a passer or develop into one. Yeah, but wait. They're not going to change, guys. Listen, I'm repeating myself now to you. You're looking at the wrong thing. As long as Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are in the Philadelphia Eagle organization, and they're 50-18 over 4 years, and they have had the success that they have had. Your conversations about a new offensive coordinator, game plan, improving the passing game, you're wasting your breath. It's hilarious to watch the Eagles try to put this narrative out. And get this, whoever they land on won't be good enough. It just won't be good enough. Not for the fan. Do you know that this is camouflage? This is camouflage for the quarterback's limits and the head coach's limitations on how they want him to coach the team. You're so centered on the OC. You shifted gears away from the quarterback and the head coach so much. You're missing the true essence of what they want as an offensive coordinator. They don't care if you have experience. The less, the better. That's better for Nick. The more experience, the more you have an issue where you could be butting heads with what you see with the QB and what you see with how Nick wants to approach games. I mean, you're not looking at the true facts. As long as the quarterback and the head football coach are in the building at the same time, nothing will ever change. The only thing that will change is if they win 4 games this year. Then all bets are off. How about this? So that comment I saw in 97.5 from Adam Schefter. You can't trade anybody until the new year starts, so you're not trading A.J. Brown. Unless A.J. Brown is going to go public in the next week and say that he's demanding a trade. I think it's Lane Johnson retiring. So the first shoe drops. You automatically are not better going into 26 if Lane does retire next week. If they retire and he retires next week, you're not better. You're starting the eroding of the offense. Marsh, thank you, bro. John Nick is a failure. Ben getting demoted since Indianapolis. Actually, since San Diego. And he was the Gatorade boy with the Chargers. There you go. Oklahoma made Hurts a passer. What's the problem now? He doesn't have a competent coach. The dummy coach is limited. Marsh, who cares if he's a good passer? You won with the 28th ranked offense in passing. You won 11 games a year ago with the 25th ranked passing attack. The Eagles are going to get better in the run game, not in the pass game. They're just not. The offensive passing game is not going to get better. Hey, Marsh, how can you have 2 1,000-yard receivers and have such a poor offensive attack in the passing game? How can you? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You have 2 1,000-yard passing receivers, and you have one of the worst passing attacks in pro football. How's that possible? Let's see. You have the 7th worst passing attack in football and 2 1,000-yard receivers. Help me out here on that. 25th and 28th in the last 2 years. Where? All these guys have these numbers. How come the offense stinks in the passing game? Sills has been watching Hurts games from 21, 22, 23. He was moving the ball all over the field. 24 passing game philosophy changed for Sirianni. to save his job. Didn't allow Jalen to make mistakes. Shitty play designs. Oh, wait a minute. All right, Marsh. So, offensive coordinators. Offensive coordinators do this. What does Mike? Well, here, if you have a job description and you have pros and cons, let's go here with pros and cons. Pro for Jalen. What would be the number one pro? And you and me are going to build an offense around your pros and cons. Let's build an offensive coordinator right here. What do you say, Z? Let's build an offensive coordinator on the quarterback and the guy that I'm profiling. What's the number one pro for Jalen Hurts? The number one. I don't believe it's adaptability. I don't believe that. What's the number one pro for his game? His game. Number one thing he does as a skill set. Dual threat. Even though that's been diminished a bit the last 2 years, is dual threat. Give me another strength of his as a skill set. Decision making, that's a deficiency. No turnovers, protects the ball. Protects the ball and dual threat. Give me another one. Pretty decent deep thrower. Deep ball. Okay. Okay. What else? Dual threat. Protects the football. And deep football. Okay? If I'm Lori, I'm calling a meeting, Nick. You are calling the plays, Jalen. You are executing them. If you don't get to the NFC Championship game, you're both gone. Okay. Give me another one. On his skill, dual threat, protects the football, throws a pretty good deep ball. What else? Level-headed. Pretty good under pressure. Pressure player. Okay. Anything else that Jalen does well? Dual threat. And I'm going to make a coordinator for you here. Dual threat. Protects the football. Throws a pretty decent deep ball. And pretty good pressure player. Now, here's his cons. Leaves the pocket too soon. Doesn't look downfield when he leaves the pocket. Doesn't progression read very well. Doesn't process. Predictable in the passing game. Y and Z. Doesn't throw across the middle of the field. Okay. Right? I think these are all fair. Marsh, Oklahoma is different from Alabama, but Nick can't use his offense to even determine if he grew the way you say Hurts did. That's not his quarterback. Okay? So here, what's the lie? What's the lie, RC? What's the lie? He's not good at reading defenses. He doesn't process well. Guys are always open. Jalen Hurts' decision-making was elite in the RPO. I got it. Over here, dual threat. I did. I gave him that. I got him dual threat. I gave it to him, Marsh. He throws over the middle. So Jalen Hurts throws over the middle. Let's see something. 2025 pass chart. Jalen Hurts, 20 yards or more in the middle of the field is a 52 quarterback rating. Jalen Hurts at the line of scrimmage has a 116 quarterback rating. If he does throw across the middle of the field, it's 5-yard passes. Jalen Hurts, quarterback percentages, 123 to the numbers, 189 on the other side. In the middle of the football field, he's got a 52 quarterback rating with plays 10 or 20 yards or more, and with plays 5 yards, he's got a 60 quarterback rating. I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about, guy. Ain't no lies there. So, we got to build a coordinator around this. He's dual threat. Protects the ball. Pretty good deep ball. Pressure player. Things he can't do. He's not a progression reader. He doesn't throw across the middle of the field with accuracy. He leaves the pocket. And he drops his eyes when he leaves the pocket. Let's make a coordinator. What kind of passes are you going to throw? I'm going to throw Ys and Zs. Some tight ends. And by the way, where's your screen game? They don't have an intermediate check down game. That's because the quarterback's not good at it. Okay? So what kind of passing attack do you have here if you're a coordinator? Throw into the Y and the Z, maybe a couple tight end passes. You don't throw to your backs all that much. What's not true? What's not true? What are you watching? I mean, what are you watching, Prince? I mean, every single coach that's ever played against that guy has said he's not open. I'm trying to find you a coordinator here. And that's the point, John. Nick ain't smart enough to run anything but the trash, non-creative offense. He did it in San Diego. I was there. Phillip Rivers threw the ball 682 times. That's not true. Phillip Rivers threw the ball over 600 times in Indianapolis. He's nowhere come close to that except for 1 year under Brian Johnson. This season, when he left the pocket, he kept his eyes up. That's not what Brady said. That's not true. That he kept his eyes up when he left the pocket. Jalen Hurts drops his head when he does that. I don't agree with that. Broncos fired their OC. Get Joe Lombardi. By the way, that's Vince Lombardi's nephew. Or no, his grandson. Did you guys know that? I disagree with you. You don't like it? Tough shit. I don't care. Then why is AJ bitching, Prince? Greg Roman's style of offense is literally one primary target, a heavy run game and the quarterback's ability to run. He's literally for Hurts. Well, that's what the Ravens moved off of. Great. You watched the game. Let's take a look here. Again, I'm looking at his pass chart. I'm looking at his pass chart right now. Jalen Hurts' pass chart, especially the last two games versus last year. There was not one pass across the middle of the field except for one. In the last two games especially. Let's see how many passes he threw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Behind the line of scrimmage to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the numbers. He threw one deep that was plus 28, 25, and threw one across the middle of the field. Through the left, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 0 in the middle of the field. I'm looking at it. He was 27 of 35 for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Every single pass was to the right, under and behind the line of scrimmage, and there were 5 passes to the left. Then, when he was 12 of 23 for 190, no touchdowns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6 to the left. No passes across the middle of the field. I'm looking at the throw chart. Not sure what you're talking about. I'm trying to be nice. Prince lies. Watch what Brady was saying. Dude, I'm looking at the fucking throw. I'm looking at what he did. I'm not debating what he did. That's like debating Belichick's resume. I understand Cliff Kingsbury wanted his own coaches, but he would fit Jalen very well. Dude, the players that he coached Caleb Williams and he coached Patrick Mahomes. They don't remotely look anything close to him. Don't pull the stat Sills. Jalen Hurts live off of narratives, not facts. Here, let's see what his year numbers were. 2,000 passing yard for the 2025 season. Okay. It's even, completion rate, roughly 66% under 20 yards. Here, 21 yard. Here's his numbers. Situational passing. Jalen Hurts, 1 to 10 yards, 68.8. Jalen Hurts, 11 to 20, 68.4. Jalen Hurts, 21 to 30 yards, 52%. Jalen Hurts, 31 yards, 66.7%. That's what he threw this year. And they were low numbers. I don't know what you were watching. Got you, my friend. Thank you. I'm trying to find a coordinator. It's not really about Hurts. Well, it is. So you have to do this. What coordinator is going to want to deal with dual threat? I thought Brian Dable would have been a name. Here, Brian Dable. And I know they've been hired. Brian Dable deals with dual threat. Who else? Mike McDaniel doesn't deal with dual threat, so he would have been out. Greg Roman. Cliff Kingsbury. Those 3 guys. Who's the other guy? Who's the guy? Joe Brady. Mr. Hill. This OC search crap. Maybe Lurie wears knee pads for Nick. Highly doubtful. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Appreciate the super. Thank you. Todd Monken would have been. Just got hired by the Browns. Those are the names. Now when you start getting into names where people haven't called plays, you're walking backwards. Yep, Jim Bob Cooter would be another guy. Matt Nagy coached Mitchell Trubisky. He's a pocket guy. You want him? Nick, show me one guy that Matt Nagy's coached with any type of success that was dual threat. Justin Fields? Matt Nagy? Matt Nagy had Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky's a drop back guy. I mean, how does that tie in? Mahomes is a gifted passer. Hurts is not. Sills, when you read A.J. Brown's scouting report, it said he doesn't play well in slot middle of the field, right? Could that be the reason why Jalen's passes are at the numbers? Yeah, it could be. Yes. Why not have more passes for Goddard? And have Goddard more involved in the passing offense? I mean, then why not throw to and get a better slot guy? To me, the advantage in the NFL today is not in the numbers. I think the advantage is inside the seams. That's why you see more tight ends and more slot receivers having big-time success. Is Puka Nacua, does he go in the slot? Does Puka Nacua play out of the slot sometimes? Does he? Does he go into the slot? So Marsh White Kellen couldn't do it. He was here. So Puka Nacua is in the slot. He plays out of the slot, right? He's more versatile than AJ. And McVay lines him up more. JSN. You know why JSN gets as many passes thrown to him? They move him around too. They put him in the slot. They put him at Y. They put him at Z. They put him off ball. So they move him around. A.J. Brown's not versatile. He can't play in the slot. I've never seen A.J. Brown really anywhere else other than on the number. And teams have figured that out. They figure out the passing style. They know they're going right and left. He's not going to put him in the slot. I would have put A.J. in the slot more, but he can't play out of it. That's still to this day his scouting report. Yeah, but again, his scouting report was he didn't play well out of it. Sills, please humor us. Can you make a scouting report for Nick as a head coach? I bet it would be a glowing review. Sills, you think the Rams pay Nacua? Absolutely. Imagine Nacua with Mahomes. Imagine Puka Nacua with Mahomes. Would be insane. Yeah, that's why I always thought they should roll him more. But Hurts is not really good throwing the ball on the run. I've seen him, I think that's improved a little bit. Him making those sideline throws, he makes a ton of sideline throws. I mean, I guarantee you, Prince will probably tell you that he makes more across the middle of the field throws than sideline throws. But that's not what I see. The way you describe the players that can go all over the field, the more it reminds me of Brian Westbrook during Andy's days. Brian Westbrook was one of the most versatile football players in Eagle history. Could catch checkdowns, put him in a slot, put him at wideout, run the ball in between the tackles. Truly one of the greatest versatile players in the history of that league, and clearly of that team. Lane Kiffin couldn't get a 300-yard passing game out of Hurts. Lane Kiffin could get my grandma 300 passing yards. Again, I mean, I'm trying to find a coordinator here. Do you understand why you haven't found a coordinator? I've got 4 guys here. These other guys that have never called plays, we're back to where we started last. Hey, what was the date you guys hired Kevin Patullo? When was Kevin Patullo hired? When was Kevin Patullo hired? January 24th, 2021. When did he get the OC job as OC? Okay, February 19th, This was like what? 11 days after the Super Bowl, right? To replace Kellen Moore. So February 19th, you hired Kellen Moore as your OC. If you hire another guy that has no experience in play calling, here we are again. You haven't moved the needle. What makes you think the new guy's going to be better with the requirements, again, that he has to deal with? Have you ever coached a dual threat quarterback? If the answer is no, why do you got the job? And how are you going to coach a dual threat guy you've never coached before and that style of guy? You've never called plays? Well, how do you know what plays to call for a dual threat guy? You're making more things and more obstacles by hiring a guy that's never done that. Jordan Love is not a dual threat guy. He can move, but they don't want him to run. So help me out here. Okay, throws a deep ball. Is AJ here? I'm assuming. I'm being hired under that premise. Right? If you hire me as your OC, I'm with the premise that AJ Brown's on the team, correct? Get this. So, dual threat. Let's take a look at that. He calls Patrick Mahomes dual threat. Let's take a look at that. Patrick Mahomes is dual threat? All right. Take your word at it. Let's take a look at that. According to M. Reyes, he's a dual threat guy. All right. So, 272, 218, 381, 358, 307. This last year, he had to run more because they had no run game. So he went 422, and that's why he ended up getting hurt. But in his 9 years, Jalen Hurts has more rushing yards in his time rushing than Mahomes has in his entire 9-year career. And the years that he was the MVP, he ran for 272 and 328 yards. Wouldn't really put that as dual threat when a guy like Hurts was running for 750 yards and 800 yards. I don't think 200 yards is dual threat. I mean, that's correct. His in-game situational feel for the game, he'll take that out of his toolbox and he'll use it. And when needed. Okay? That's not the point. He doesn't. He does it when he needs it. I mean, what was the most he ever had in touchdowns compared to Jalen Hurts? 2, 2, 2, 4. Jalen Hurts gets 15 touchdowns a year, 12 touchdowns a year. Patrick Mahomes is not dual threat. He's dual threat, like some of you guys have said, when needed. It's not dual threat. That you think he's dual threat. He's not. He can do it. That's not the point. He doesn't. You're not bringing up the middle of the field throws. Get guys injured more than Godwin, Nakua. Hey, the great quarterbacks, that's where they win ball games, is across the middle of the field. You don't win football. Brady didn't win Super Bowls. Brady didn't win Super Bowls, David, on the numbers. Brady won Super Bowls with checkdowns and passes to tight ends across the middle of the field. What's the two most significant things in an Andy Reid and in a Bill Belichick offense that the Eagles don't do? They throw to tight ends and they check down. Between those two teams and the two quarterbacks, those quarterbacks have won 11 Super Bowls with that style of play. That style of play is the style of play to win Super Bowls, not deep throws. Checkdowns, tight end throws, seam throws, Throwing on the hash. If you got Andy Reid doesn't really have a predominant wideout in his offense ever. He has a tight end that's a predominant player in his offense. And usually he has a back. And that was one of the things. Okay. He had a career year. I don't believe Dallas Goedert played well this year. How many people believe that Dallas Goedert played well? I know he had a lot of touchdowns. Let's take a look at Dallas Goedert and how well he played. I thought Dallas Goedert, the touchdowns were great. Let's see what he did. So, Dallas Goedert. Tell you what, M. Reyes, I've never seen a guy take more freaking L's than you in a daily show than anybody in my life. So Dallas Goedert had 500 yards, 590, and 60 catches. That's a career year. 50 catches and 590 yards. That's a career year in today's NFL out of the tight end spot. That's what M. Reyes calls a career year. Okay, I guess. I mean, that's a career year. I guess if you're in Philly, that's a career year. 60 catches and 590 yards is a career year. How many games? Surely he played only 12 games. Oh, he played how many games? He played 15 ball games. 11 touchdowns are great. 590 and 60 catches. It's a career year to M. Reyes. Jesus. I mean, I don't think that's very good, actually. If you look back at that, I don't know. Let's see, tight ends. NFL tight ends. NFL tight ends, 2025. Let's see where so McBride had 1239 and 126 catches. Kyle Pitts had 928 and 88. Even Travis Kelce had 76 catches, 851. Tyler Warren had 76 catches for 817. Where was Goddard on this list? He was 16th. That's a career year? Okay. Seals, breaking news. Philly trades Nick to the Raiders for a 1970s typewriter and an open box of bubble gum. Can't have a career year in Philadelphia. AJ will say, take me off your fantasy team. How many time or plays do you think tight end was the first read? Oh, in a game? 3? Guys, I've never seen a guy take more L's. Again, he's a Jalenite. He's a Nickite. I mean, here. Let me ask this question. You think the Eagles right now, today, you think this is a sign of things to come for 26? I'm going to make a bold statement here. When's the first day of free agency? First day of free agency. March 11th. March 11th. Okay? When's the first day of NFL draft? Okay. April 23rd. Get my phone. Go here. And I'll tell you where I'm going. Let's see here. March. Okay. How many days until March 11th? 42 days. How many days until the NFL draft? 84. So we have 42 days, basically a little over a month until the start of the new year in free agency. Oh, by the way, got a little bit of insight for you. The Tennessee Titans have contacted Drew Rosenhaus and are going to be the first players up to the plate for Jalen Phillips in free agency. And they're going to pay him a ton of money. So just for your heads up here, the Tennessee Titans are the team that will be battling the Eagles when it comes to money. And let me see where the Titans are in money in 2026. As of right now, now that can change. 2026 NFL salary cap space. Let's see here. The Tennessee Titans are number one. They got $101 million in cap space. They're the top team in the NFL with $100 million. As of today, they have $100 million. And they're the leaders right now. Vegas is second. Chargers are third. Jets are fourth. Believe it or not, Seattle's fifth in cap space. Seattle has $76 million in cap space, and they're in the Super Bowl, which is insane. Okay, so Phillips is a target of the Titans. Okay, and Robert Saleh wants edge rushers and wants to build that defense. So that'll be a priority. Okay, so then the April draft. I'm going to make, like here, I think the Eagles right now are in a crossroads on how they're going to look in 26. You see, I don't really care about rooting for your team. You do. I care about covering your team. So I take emotion out of it. Right now, you got a lot of work to do. So I'm assuming next week that we're going to hear some news. And stop with the shit about trading your head coach. You're not trading your head coach. For who? Sean Payton? It's who you trade? It's Lane retiring. Okay? You can't trade anybody right now until 42 days from now. I mean, you can't even have really conversations with guys under contract or you'll be penalized for the upcoming NFL draft in 84 days. So it's somebody being traded. It's somebody retiring. Trade? You can't make a trade until the new year starts. It's Lane. I mean, I'm hearing people going, hey, next week there's going to be some type of big news. Big news in what? You can't make a move. It's prohibited by the NFL to make any kind of trade, whether it's coach or player. What are you talking about? Unless Sirianni resigns. I mean, what? Or AJ's demanding a trade when the new year starts. Now, this I believe could be Stoutland retiring. Hey, by the way, if Stoutland retires, that might open up the door for more candidates. If you have news next week And I don't know if you're going to have a offensive coordinator by Friday. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you're going to have a coordinator by Friday. Now, you may. Okay? I mean, right? Now, here, again, I tried to give you an offensive coordinator. You see what we did? We profiled the guy. These names that you're bringing up, I mean, they're comical. Why in the world would you want to hire a guy off the Sean McVay tree when all they believe is passing? Sills, it's looking like another team of free agency for the Eagles. Oh, man, had enough of it. Z, I missed the super. Can you hook me up here, brother? I missed the last one here. Let me get Leon here for a second. I actually think it's a rebrand. 3 years ago, we changed the wording logo. That's what I think. Maybe it's lame, but I don't think the Eagles would leak it. I think it's this one here. So the reason I bring up Chris Bell, he's a running, blocking wide receiver, yards after catch guy, also plays slot, fits the Eagles style of play. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Here, like I said, you're going to hire a guy from the McVay tree? Those are pocket passers. Brian Dable was a dual threat guy. Look at the players he dealt with, Josh Allen and Jackson Dart. Okay, that makes sense. The Cooter guy makes total sense because he's worked with Daniel Jones and he's worked with Shane. Look at a quarter. Hey, do you think there's any coincidence that Shane Steichen tells you who he is? So look at the last couple quarterbacks that he's dealt with. Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. They drafted Anthony Richardson. Would you consider Anthony Richardson a dual threat guy? Not asking you if he's good or not. Do you think he's a dual threat, Anthony Richardson? So let's take a look at these last quarterbacks that have been significant in Indianapolis. Okay? And his last quarterbacks that he's dealt with. Jalen Hurts and Philly. So Anthony Richardson is not a dual threat guy? I don't know what league you're watching, guy. They drafted Anthony Richardson like 5th. Daniel Jones. Those are the 3 significant quarterbacks. Here, I love this. What major move do you think is coming before the new year, James? James, I heard the clip from 97.5. What move do you think is coming before the start of the new year? Next week. You can't trade anybody. And you really can't sign anybody. What are you talking? Still, this is how you know my fan base is in shambles. We got dudes tweeting, I want Matt Nagy. Brother, want to fall from grace. That's a better chance of that happening than anything. It's not a trade. Well, what is it? Curious what you think it is. Big Sills, I'm a new subscriber. Thank you. I got a question. Do you think Matt Nagy would be a good hire? I do. I think he's a good coach. Don't look at head coaching stuff. Look at Josh McDaniels. I think Matt Nagy, Andy Reid sees a lot in that guy. If Andy Reid sees a lot in that guy, I see a lot in that guy. Matt Nagy is not a problem. Matt Nagy. I get to say that a lot. I don't have a problem with him. I would not have a problem with Matt Nagy being hired as the offensive coordinator. As a matter of fact, I'd hire him. Bring him in. Probably work with Nick well. You know, he wants to get a head coaching opportunity again. Maybe he can come in and help Hurts in the passing game, elevate it a little more. I don't know. He didn't do that hard. I don't think he did that horrible of a job in Chicago. I never thought he did. I think another bad news, Stout retiring. I think it's Lane or both. Lane and Stout retiring. Okay? Yeah, listen. I want Matt Nagy. Says no one ever. Well, wait a minute. I mean, so would you rather have a guy who called plays? Or would you rather have a guy that's never called plays? Like I said, February 19th, you're back there again. You're going to hire a guy who's never called plays. Well, I'm trying to figure out, is that an upgrade? Aren't you trying to upgrade the position, or are you trying to make lateral moves? Sills, what's your percentage chance that AJ gets traded prior June 1? 0. Post? Maybe. Because it's not as much money. But again, I'm 1,000% against it. How are you better? How are you a better football team if you lose Lane if he retires next week? And then you lose AJ? I told you, there were 3 things that would make your team a 7-win team next year. If you lost Goddard, AJ, and Lane, where are you going? You're going to replace those guys with who? Who are you replacing those dudes with? First-year starters? Draft picks? Free agents? You don't have Vic Fangio on that side of the ball that can take Temu signings and turn them into a top 10 defense. The tone of the announcement seemed kind of low-key. It's probably not good news. Someone stepping down. I think it's either Lane or Stoutland retiring. How old is Jeff Stoutland? He was the interim head coach at the University of Miami at one time. Jeff Stoutland. He's 63. I don't know. It's not a trade. Can't trade until March 11th. Richardson's skill set. Why did you take yourself out of the game? I don't think anybody ever really thought Anthony Richardson was that good on our program. I know Xander and I were both going like this. The guy was like 52% completion percentage at Florida. He was going to have a higher percentage completion rate in the NFL based on what? Like he was going to get better? I didn't think I saw him against LSU and he won a football game and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. After that, I've never seen him play in a game where I went, that guy's a really good looking athlete. And that guy's a really great looking quarterback prospect. I never saw that. I don't think they can. It's going to be in the draft. No money for free agents. Offense is about to get younger. Like they've been doing to offense, all money will shift to the defense. I think the defense is going to start winning ball games for you next year. That's going to be the narrative. If it's Stout, then he should have done it earlier. I don't think this is too late. Now, it's probably more important for Howie. Okay? Because again, you want to get all this business done by the Super Bowl. You want a new coordinator by the Super Bowl. You want to start setting up free agency because right after that, a month later, you got free agency starting, and you got to determine who you're going to go, who you're going to keep. Again, Titans are going after Jalen Phillips. I don't know how high they're going to go, though. And I don't know how high the Eagles are going to go. But according to our friends at Drew Rosenhaus and Associates, the Titans are making him a priority. And by the way, he's one of the top free agent guys that's out there. George Pickens is probably number one. Daniel Jones is going to be in that conversation, but Jones is going to get re-signed in a new 3-year contract with the Colts. So those are your higher end of guys. But Phillips is up there. He's like number 4 on the list. Okay? By the way, Sills, I think we were right. It wasn't, and it isn't about Jalen. Mike Garofalo reported that Dable was intrigued by a possible reunion with Hurts, but it closed with Saleh and went that way. Well, again, I don't think Brian Dable had a problem with Jalen Hurts. I think he had a problem with the style of play. And I think that right there tells you. Now, hey, last year when Brian Dable was, and they were talking, I think it was game 1. We brought this up too. A.J. Brown was open. Okay? He was open. They just wouldn't throw the ball. Maybe that's Hurts. Maybe that's style of play. Maybe they told Jalen no turnovers. Hey, if you go to a quarterback and you say, get this, here's the one thing where I'll defend Jalen on. If you go to the quarterback and say, don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over, why would you call deep passes? Why would you call deep passes? Right? You wouldn't. Hey, get this. Think about it. Hey, Hurts, don't turn the ball over. Or here's a plus 35 play. You wouldn't call that play, tell the kid one thing and do another, would you? Would you do that? I don't want you to throw the football and turn the ball over. Well, let's throw the ball across the middle of the field and throw deep passes. You're contradicting yourselves. You're contradicting. Here. And you see this guy right here? Again, the king of L's. What do you think is a higher percentage turnover play? A 5-yard check down or a plus 25 throw? This guy's the dumbest person I've ever seen that's a football fan. So you think 5-yard check downs are just as high as potential turnover plays as plus 25 throws? Man, are you dumb? All right. Speaking of dumb, the Hall of Fame voters. I don't get it. One of the absolutely greatest resumes of all time. I heard Big Z talking this morning. And by the way, John McMullen's right. This has been released and the voting tabs for the voting have been leaked out. That Belichick's not a first ballot. Howard Balzer was in the room, and he'll be with us at 5:30. We'll talk with him. Don't forget Battle Royale also at 4:30. Without further ado, our friend, Big Z, Xander Kraus joins us now.
Xander, what's up, brother? How you doing, Sills?
All good. What do you make of this Belichick thing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it really pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not a Belichick guy. I respect him. I don't have a dog in the fight. But as somebody who talks about the NFL for a living day in and day out, I don't know how people who hold pencils and pens can come in here and be the arbiter of a guy who maybe should be. I mean, you could make an argument. You could rename the Hall of Fame after Bill Belichick. That's how good this guy is. I mean, that's how historic his career has been.
Historic.
That's how much he's accomplished.
Historic.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't. It's one thing for there to be opinion, and it's one thing for somebody to disagree on an opinion about a player or something. There is no opinion here. There's no opinion. My opinion doesn't matter. Jason Cole, this guy's he's a first ballot Hall of Famer by every metric, no matter what way you slice it, no matter what way you look at it.
Resume.
You know, and I think the sad part for them is that the very people who try and give this type of retribution to people or who try and teach them a lesson or these things, it always comes back to bite them more than it ever bit Belichick. I think they made more fans out of Bill Belichick today than ever.
They made him a martyr.
And then they made everybody go also rethink and say, man, who are the gatekeepers on this sport? I talk about the game. I also acknowledge they're the arena. We talk about the arena. Okay? I'm not the arena. And I'm not going to try and be the arbiter on a guy who won 8 effing Super Bowls not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. What kind of self-righteousness do some of these people have?
I mean, you can't what's the debate? Like, what's the debate?
That's what I mean. This isn't an opinionated debate, dude.
Oh, right. What am I debating?
So I don't know. It really bothered me. I'm not going to lie. I was like,
oh, it did me too.
Bill Belichick is not. If Bill Belichick's not,
you even had LeBron commenting. LeBron commented, "Go what?
If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, who is? Is Tom Brady a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Hey, if you're going to hold the metric against
who's
him,
the first? If Bill Belichick's not, who is?
Nobody.
I mean, I thought you brought up a great point to me before the show, and I don't even think you meant it in a silly way of poking shots at the Eagles. What did Nick Sirianni's accomplish? If you win 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 as an assistant with the New York Giants, you have 8 Super Bowls on your mantle. You're one of the most accomplished coaches in the history of the game that's been around for over 100 years, and you're not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, if you're a coach, you got to look at that and be like, damn, high bar to clear here. I don't know. It bothered me, man. It bothered me, the whole thing, the Bill Belichick thing.
It really did, because are you going off the field with the off the field stuff with how he handled you as a media guy? Then you have Bill Polian, who said before that he should sit out a year.
That guy's I don't know a thing about Bill Polian.
What a liar, man.
What a snake.
What a snake. He is so, get this. Then he lies and said that he had a first round grade on Tom Brady when he was the general manager of the Colts. And everyone paused and went like this, dude, no, you didn't. Nobody had a first round. The Patriots didn't even have a first round grade on the guy. And you have all these guys with this agenda. I mean, ESPN is the prime example of it. But again, I think it's more of an indictment on the Hall of Fame and the selection. And you know what? Jared Bell said something great. I loved what he posted. I think these guys need to be transparent, because don't put me in this, because I think if there's a guy that's a first ballot, don't make me a part of this, because those 11 people, they have different agendas, not me. I didn't even think it was the debate.
Yeah,
and we've had all these Hall of Famers on here.
I understand, the voters who voted for Bill, who try and, disassociate themselves. But at the end of the day, that's the way it's set up. Nobody knows.
Yep.
Pat McAfee tweeted today, I've had every single Hall of Fame voter I've asked said they voted for him.
I know.
Which is statistically impossible. So there's no way for this to even, everybody just lies to avoid the backlash.
That's right.
And they all know the backlash is coming, because they know it was a stupid decision to not put it. He should have been 100%. Should have been 50 out of 50 votes. And anybody who voted against it, in my opinion, is unfit to vote, because their personal agendas supersede the facts. And I think that's where you get to a spot where you're going to delegitimize, like the Baseball Hall of Fame. John brought up that this morning. That's where they're headed.
Yeah. When you keep guys like Rose and Bonds and Clemens out of the Hall of Fame, you can't tell the story of baseball without
exactly
those.
Exactly right.
And can you tell the story of the NFL without Bill Belichick?
No. And the other thing is that the baseball hangs their hat on that morality clause they have. NFL doesn't have a morality clause either. So it's a pretty big joke, man. It's a pretty big joke.
Really is.
And it really makes those stereotypes of the classic sports writer.
Yeah.
Doesn't it bring them so true?
Yeah.
It really does.
It's shameful. it shames them, and you know what? You bring disrespect to the league when you do that.
Yeah, I agree.
16 days, dude.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in like a like the Matrix here. Like day number 16, still nothing. We're looking at Mannion. All right, Mannion is a potential candidate at this point. So
He's never been a
man.
play
What's going
caller.
on here? What's
He's
that?
never been a play caller. You hired Shane. You hired Kevin Patullo on February 19th, 2025. I asked you that day, all right, he's never called plays. And you were like, yeah, I know. It's kind of weird, right? Well, and then we all went, well, he was in the room, maybe, I don't know, and everybody kind of like, we floated down. Then we kept asking the question more going, well, we can't really wait. We have to wait and see how it looks. Remember, we gave the first month, we had to see how it kind of looked. And I was like, I don't know. Well, here we are again. If you hire a guy with no play calling experience, what are you doing? And I disagree with John.
Well, the reason I don't like that is because while I do understand it's a factor, not all candidates and not all coaches are created equal. And if you took that approach, you might not have had some of the best play callers in the game today. So there's a learning curve, but I also don't love the idea of just saying, okay, because Patullo failed, let's never consider somebody who's never called a play before. I think you cast away too many potential candidates that have a great offensive future. Now, that's not to say it's not more inherently risky. It is, especially coming off the heels. And I think the reason they wouldn't go that way is actually less about their convictions and more about Nick Sirianni probably protecting his job. Because if you hire another person that doesn't have play calling pedigree and it doesn't work, the owner's already showed how, emotionally quick he is to react. Well, Nick's probably fired too, even though there might be somebody that's brought in with a good potential future, but that's the thing I don't like about it. Like if would Ben Johnson be a highly coveted coach right now if Detroit didn't make him a first-time play caller? You get what I'm saying? Like
I do.
There's guys out there.
You limit yourself.
In a tough spot. The Eagles are in a tough spot because they just had somebody fail. So now they feel like the best answer is experience. And boy, there's quite a bit of play callers who have experience who fail too.
And I think it's got a lot to do with what we did, that little exercise today, pros and cons of Hurts. Don't you think you have to match up? And I agree with you what you just said about if you close the door on potential candidates because they hadn't called plays, you're limiting the field even more so. If you're limiting and you think the quarterback's got limitations, you're limiting even more when it comes to the potential candidates. You're right. You got an open mind. But my question comes down to this. Why would I hire a guy from Sean McVay tree? They're a pro-style passing attack. I mean, how does anybody off that tree sound right when it comes to the quarterback and the way the quarterback throws the football and the way the quarterback and the way the coach want the offense? Don't you think that the Philadelphia Eagles have a different definition of what offensive coordinator is than what other teams have? Because, Xander, if John McMullen's right and you're looking at 16, 17 candidates, well, if you're looking at many candidates, they must not be fitting a profile of either the quarterback or what Nick's looking for with that definition of OC in Philly. So,
or the Eagles don't.
It's not a traditional OC job, then, is it?
Yeah, or the Eagles don't fit their profile. The one thing you said there that I don't like or that I disagree with is, and you're right from the framing of it that a McVay style guy doesn't fit our offense. But I view it more like this. Yes, they don't, but you always hear good coaches adapt to their players. And where when you have guys with options, maybe they'll choose not to adapt. They'd rather run their offense. But if you're a smart offensive-minded guy, whether you grew up in the McVay system or whatever system you grew up in, if you're a smart offensive guy and you have an ability to see the game from a bigger picture than just the offensive world that you live in or the offensive scheme you live in, then I think you're a good candidate for the job. I don't think the offense that you've ran or grew up in or has been a part of is the only way to do it. I'm looking for somebody that's got a great offensive mind, like you cover and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. It would be stupid to say Dan can't talk about the NFL. Dan can't talk about baseball. Dan can't talk. You're a good sports talk guy. You get what I'm saying? I think you look for somebody that has a great macro trait and a great macro perspective and approach to the offensive game. Then you put him in the Eagles offense with the playmakers. You look at the talents of the players on the team, and then you build out from there. I'd more rather have that than have somebody come in that's, okay, this is the offense I run. Now let's stick all your players inside my shoebox and hopefully it works. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I see it, but I understand why you would push back on the potential of a McVay guy.
So Kyle Shanahan, let me use him. How come he couldn't coach Trey Lance?
Well, Kyle's one of the, he's the rare guy that. And
you think highly of him, right?
I think very highly of him, but I do think he's the rare guy where 90% of offensive guys aren't going to be that good. Kyle is one of his quotes that's famous is.
But he didn't adapt to Trey Lance.
Well, listen, one of his quotes that's famous is, if somebody proves to me that they can do a better job than I can calling the plays, then they can do it. He's never found that person. And I think he's right.
I agree.
The funny thing about Kyle is he's a guy that's already steeped in his way. So he's not going to change at this point after being the man and being, running the offense for so long. And, he'll even go as far as to say 3 first-round picks are meaningless to me, more so than me running my – think about that. I'd rather throw 3 first-round picks up and make them fairy dust than change my offense. He's kind of an extreme example. I look at a guy like Ben. I just referenced Ben. Very different offense he's running, not completely different, but certainly style different to fit Caleb Williams. They got the 2-back approach.
Yeah,
2 backs who had good years this year. They had a 7th-round pick, Kyle Manone guy running wild over there. Quarterback only completed 58% of his passes this year. He adapted a little bit. That's what I want. I want a guy who's got a great offensive mind.
Kellen.
Yeah, but the thing about Kellen is,
didn't Kellen
tried to fit people into the shoebox. When the shoebox didn't work, he went back into Nick's shoebox. Is there anybody out there who can break the walls of either of these shoeboxes and say, let's mesh the concepts, let's mesh these ideas together, come up with a more comprehensive plan that's not so stuck in one way or the other way, accentuate the talents of Jalen Hurts, because that's the way you're going to be successful in all. I'm sorry.
So Nick,
I don't agree with people though, and John, only thing you can do is change is improve the run game. If that's your approach, then why are you keeping the quarterback? I don't buy that either. Somebody out there can get more out of Jalen Hurts than we've gotten out of him. I refuse to believe otherwise.
We've seen it.
Yes. So that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And I'm not looking for shit. I'm not in charge. But that's what I would be looking for.
Hey, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to, in one word, I want you to give me a word that defines and describes Nick Sirianni's style of coaching. In one word.
One word for Nick's style of coaching?
Yeah.
One word is damn near impossible. I need at least 3. Oh, people are going to hate this one. Successful.
Okay.
The other word I was thinking on the other side would be erratic.
Okay.
He's erratic and successful.
Okay. If you're using the word successful, what macro changes are you expecting then?
Well, you can be successful and have things that need fixing. You can have a nice car that's got a bump.
That's under the premise you think they think things need to be fixed.
Well, no. If I got a flat tire on my car, I'm gonna go get my flat tire fixed.
You got to be real. Hold on here. You got to be realistic that everybody doesn't win a Super Bowl every year.
I'm aware.
Right. So they look at it as a slip up and injuries.
Well, are they wrong?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
The reason I don't think so is because, the reason that it could change is because the roster is getting a little older. And I think the questions about the talent on offense are fair at this point. I mean, A.J. Brown, I've been a team A.J. all guy. all year. That guy didn't look the same.
You want to hear my
Jordan
word?
Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Saquon Barkley. None of these guys looked that great.
You want me to hear my
Is
word?
it all Patullo? Is it all Hurts? I don't know.
Want to hear my word?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your word.
Confusing.
That's a good word.
Because I don't know what game plan they're doing every game. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. It just doesn't seem it has a formula to it. As a matter of fact, it doesn't seem that the Eagles have a formula with their coaching search. It doesn't seem like their coaching search matches up their game plan. It's just like, what are you looking for with what the quarterback? You're trying to help the quarterback get better. You're trying to help the run game get better. It just seems confusing. Don't you think this job search has been confusing a little?
Yeah.
Like what the hell are you actually looking for? Like what needs to be fixed? That you fired an OC. What are you, and if that you want to hire maybe potentially another guy who's not been a play caller before? Okay. Well, we're back in that room again with more question marks. Usually, doesn't a guy have a blueprint, and doesn't he have stripes on his back? When you see a coordinator, you know what that guy is, and you know who he is. And if the Eagles are looking at coordinators that don't have those stripes yet defined, and that's kind of their style, this goes back to Nick then. Don't you agree? There's more names now that are being thought about that don't have those stripes defined yet on their style of play. And that, to me, is the more intriguing person that the Eagles, were they really going to get Mike McDaniel? No. Were they really going to get Brian Daboll? Maybe. Were they going to get Stefanski? No. Were they going to get any of those upper echelon guys? So now they're looking at guys who don't have those defining marks in their trade when it comes to being an offense coordinator. That's more appealing to them.
Yeah.
That's why I go back to the definition. What does OC mean in Philly? Next plays, you call them. You bring in 25% of your plays. I don't think they really have a definition of what that position is. Because look at the different styles of coordinators you've hired over the last 5 years. They're all different. I mean, the poor quarterback, and really I say this with respect, the poor quarterback must go like this. What the fuck are we doing? I mean, do we want to throw? Do we want to run?
I hope he's not so
He's
dense.
like a chameleon. He's like a chameleon. Which
all right,
I give him credit for.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I give him credit for that, though. I give him credit.
Yeah, I don't say this to take a shot at Hurts, but I mean, you can't be so dense as to realize that you're not one of the reasons that the offense is the way it is.
But they're not changing style of play in KC, and they're not going to change style of play in LA.
Yeah, but if
they change this every year for the kid.
If Nick Sirianni brings in a guy in Kellen Moore, and the whole offseason is about developing as a pro-style offense, and you start the season with 7 straight, 7 turnovers, you start 2-2, and then you take it more out of Hurts' hands and go on a historic run, how can you blame the head coach for that? So I'm not saying it's all on Jalen, but what I'm saying is I don't think he's so dense as to say, oh, it has nothing to do with me. This is what Nick wants. This is where I wonder if Nick is more right than we give him credit for. Every time they try and bring in what we all want, we want a guy that comes in and improves the offense and does this. And I'm with you. Believe me, I want it too. Every time it seems to happen, they seem to regress back to what they did in the first place. Now, maybe they should give it more time. That's a fair thing. But, hey, another reason it's tough to blame Nick. Would you be giving it more time if you had the owner breathing down your neck every time somebody's, every time you don't win 12 ball games, somebody's fired? And then it's rumored in the media, you were almost fired at 2-2? I mean, 2-2. How many teams start 2-2 and then end up going 13-4? Or vice versa, going 4-13? I mean, I think the Giants were 2-2 this year. Or 3-2, whatever the hell they were.
2-2, and they went on, and I think
that's no time. So I mean, he's got an emotional, another erratic guy is the owner who's breathing down his neck for his job. That's made Nick coach with a more scarcity mindset of I better get it done or I'm fucked. And then he looks and says, all right, what's the best way to win the ball game? Protect the football. And then you put all that together, add it up for a couple of years, and you got one of the one of the ugliest looking offenses you'll ever see, brother.
Plus 25, throws. Percentage of turnover. I'm going to show you something here. Okay, NFL. Okay, so get this. So if you have a plus 35 throw or plus 25 throw, there's a 40% chance that you're going to turn the ball over with a plus 25 throw. Well, the fans want to see the passing game increase. Why would I give Jalen Hurts more of an opportunity to turn the ball over more with deep throws when Nick's telling you don't turn the ball over?
Well,
so to Jalen Hurts' point, why the fuck would I throw the ball down the field?
Right.
The coach doesn't want me to.
Yeah, it's true.
So improving the passing game? I mean.
Well, everybody's got to answer this question. A lot of people, Jalen Hurts is a very controversial figure. It seems that there's people that love him. There's people that don't like him. Not a lot of people are in the middle on him. I think I'm in the middle on him. Some days I think he's great. Some days I'm like, what the fuck? He seems to be a problem. I go back and forth. It's like what the team does. You can call me erratic too if you want, folks.
Yeah, but you've seen him longer too than everybody.
But when you look at the way we analyze Jalen, if we all want the offense to evolve, then everybody collectively has to say this. If Jalen has a couple more picks, I don't want to see him crucified every Monday morning.
No.
Because you can't want to be more productive in the passing game and then expect to have numbers and interceptions, down with the non-productive or a low volume passing game. Like, would everybody take this instead of 3,200 and 2,900 the last 2 years? Would everybody take 3,900, 3,850 like we had with Brian Johnson? Demonstrated success. We've already achieved that with 10 picks, 8 picks. I would. I'll take it.
With Vic as the D coordinator?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see this team try and play to win more than play not to lose. And I think they have the playmakers and the weapons, to go and win. Look,
you want the margins bigger.
Well,
because the margins here, if they turn the ball, listen, what's happened in the last game is really a definition of what may be things to come. They didn't have any turnovers and lost. Well, when you're in that position, man, guess what? When you don't have any turnovers and you lose the game, Xander, you got your offense going in the wrong direction.
Well, that's why 23 is such an interesting year, because I look at 23. And again, I've been on this week. We talked about it on Birds this morning. I talked about it with you yesterday. The more I look back on the Brian Johnson thing, that's another thing that pisses me off. But that was probably the best example of what I just explained.
Higher volume.
Where higher volume, and it ended up in more picks. Now, it was too high that year. You can't live there. That's too many
the fumbles, they were in the 20s.
It was the first year of a coordinator, first year play caller. It was the first time Jalen was asked to throw at that level. I'm of the belief that another year in that mode, the play caller would have been even better, and the quarterback would have been better with protecting the football. That's where I think you wanted to get to. This is why I was so excited about Kellen Moore when he came in. I was thinking, all right, take what Brian Johnson did, because he built on 22. That's forgot often because of the 23 collapse. Hurts built as a player on top of 22. Now, it wasn't an MVP level season like it was in 22, but as a player, he was a more evolved version of himself. He threw the ball more. That's the year A.J. Brown had 6 straight 125-yard games. When they fired Brian, which again was stupid, and then they brought in Kellen, you look and you're like, all right, is Kellen going to get that net? Are you going to get to that next level now? You got close, but you had a lot of turnovers. Can you find that next level? That's kind of what I was hoping for with Kellen. But look, at the end of the day, dude, I really think the biggest problem here that isn't talked about enough is they don't have the patience. It was week 4, dude. The owner was ready to fire the coach.
I know.
In week 4.
Yep.
Like, so this is where I think it's tough for Jalen. It's tough for Nick. It's tough for anybody operating under that owner, because they feel like there's a pickaxe hanging over their head, and the minute they make a wrong move, boom, your head's chopped off.
Agreed.
That's a tough setup, man. And it's hard to not, I get why some people don't like Nick. All right, it is what it is. I understand, but how would you act?
Oh, I
if
agree.
your job security was on the line like that, if your
Agreed.
kids, were in a school and they might gotten fired in the middle of January, middle of their school year, it's a tough situation, dude.
How would I act? You know how I would act.
Yeah. You wouldn't leave the Dan cave. I know that.
Hey, right?
I'm just saying. I think it's a tough setup, but it is what it is, man. We'll see.
All right. Here's another one. What do you think the news is next week?
The news next week. Are you referring to what Adam?
I'm referring to Adam Schefter, who went on 97.5 and said, and let something hang out there that there could be some news next week. I'm paraphrasing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now,
I think it is.
No, hang on. I want to make sure you know. March 11th, the new year starts. April 23rd is the NFL draft. Can't make any trades before March 11th and when the new year starts. So go ahead. Let me hear what you think it is.
All right. I have 3 tiers to this. Ready?
Okay.
I have what I think it is. I have an outside the box potential.
Okay.
And I have a tinfoil hat.
I love every one of these. And I don't even know what the hell you're going to say.
What I think it is I think Lane Johnson's retiring.
Yeah.
And when you have a player that's been here, drafted in 2013, 4th overall draft pick, entire career in Philadelphia, future Hall of Fame football player, has met, 2 Super Bowls, been to 4, I think, right? Yeah, been to 4. You're going to look at Lane Johnson. That's going to be massive news in Philly, obviously. That's going to be a big deal. Tough to replace, too. That's going to be a big deal. That's what I think it's going to be. My outside the box thing is either Jeff Stoutland or Vic Fangio retires.
Oh, my God.
Vic Fangio is 67 years old. Jeff Stoutland, 63 years old, I believe.
He is.
And the reason I think Stoutland is more likely than Vic, despite the age, is that I think it has become a problem in hiring OCs. Not by discrediting Stoutland, but just by the ego of some of the OCs these guys were trying to bring in. You heard, did anybody hear the press conference of Mike McDaniel talking about the running game? They asked him about the running game. I did
not hear it.
Let me see if I can find. I'll just see if I can find a brief excerpt and read it to you so that you can see exactly why Mike McDaniel was never coming here, and it maybe had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts.
Do you think
maybe it had more to do with the run game?
Do you think
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Do you think it had something to do maybe with echoing what Cliff Kingsbury was trying to do here?
Yes.
A couple years ago where, they made it a request. See, this goes back to what I said to you, Z. This goes back to the definition of the offensive coordinator in Philly is not conventional. It's completely new.
All right, so here's the answer. And this is why I put Jeff Stoutland as my outside the box potential retirement. Because 1, they're not going to fire him.
No.
They got too much respect
Nor
for him.
would I want.
And 2, if they came to him quietly and were like, dude, this is, we got to give it up. So this is Mike McDaniel's answer, everybody. And this is paraphrasing it so you can see it's written out like the quote. So I'll read it to you. He got asked how him and Jim Harbaugh are similar schematically in offense. He says this: he likes to run the ball, and I am, by trade, I spent a good portion of my career being in charge of the run game and being the run game coordinator. I think some of my run game prowess in the past has been different solutions for light boxes when you're adept at passing to run the ball. That core foundational belief that football is inside out, prioritizing the line of scrimmage play and being able to win games when you have a lead with 9 minutes to go and can keep the defense off the field. I think those types of things, that's where the like-minded football 101 core values of football overlap. Now, you listen to Mike McDaniel say that, and you can very quickly realize why, whether he's right or wrong, he's not going to let somebody else coordinate his run game. He thinks that's the biggest part of his offense, clearly, or a very big part of it. So people think like that, and if the Eagles organization and the owner hears that enough from multiple different candidates, do they look and say, I'm not going to fire Stoutland, but it's clear anybody who's good on offense is going to want their own run game coordinator. Does that become an issue?
I think it is an issue now.
Now, remember, I got my tinfoil hat. I'll tell you
Hey,
that.
but wait a minute. I think it is an issue because now it's multiple guys making this reference. You got Cliff Kingsbury making that reference. Now you've got Mike McDaniel making that reference. So let me ask you this. How much did Jeff Stoutland get in the way of Kevin Patullo's play calling last year? He may have wanted a whole different way of style of running the ball.
Yeah.
And maybe Kevin Patullo wanted to run it a different way. And that's why he's still in the building because you know what the coaches are probably saying? You know what the players are saying for sure. Players love the guy. They love Kevin Patullo.
I know people don't like Patullo. You know what I think of Patullo? I think is NJ Fishing Maniac in the chat? I don't know if he is. I don't see him today. NJ, if you're out there, I appreciate you. He's like a fish on the end of a line. He's got where the person who's holding that rod, they could take him, they can reel him, they can let him out, they can pull him up. I don't. That's a good point. Like that? I mean, what did Kevin Patullo call in the run game? How many times do we hear people bitch about the same run play into the same stack box?
That's Jeff Stoutland. That's not Kevin Patullo. So, I mean, maybe the coordinators that were looking at that were told, here's the parameters. You're not going to be in charge of your run game. Dude, if you're not in charge of your run game, you're not in charge of your offense, are you? You mean to tell me I can't utilize Saquon Barkley the way I want to use Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, right. That's a big
shit. I mean, what am I doing?
For a team like Philly where they rely on the run.
Correct. I mean, and the coach wants to do that style. So the coach is signing off on that. So when they're interviewing these guys, that interview must be very limited to, hey, we are interested in you and we really love your style. We really love to see if it can fit. Here's some of the things, though, that we're looking at for you. We really love your concepts. We love what you were doing with Jordan Love. And I'm just using the kid up there. And I'm going to go, here's what we do here. We really rely on our run game a lot. We really believe Jeff Stoutland is the best offensive line coach. And he has been a dominant guy. We had injuries last year on our offensive line. We're expecting our guys, Cam Jordan and Landon Dickerson, to be better. I think everybody across the board is going to be better. We're going to make an improvement. We don't know yet what Lane's going to be, but we expect to be really good in that offensive line next year. This was really because, you could sell it. You could sell it this way. How many years have the Eagles been bad in the run game in the last 10 years?
That's what I mean. That was my next point. My next point was, who's right? I know everybody right now is maybe thinking, hey, maybe Jeff Stoutland does have to go. Well, I'll remind everybody, one of the best running teams in football that topped off by a historic season
for the last 13 years
is coordinated by Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah.
So is Mike McDaniel, because Mike McDaniel sounds good on the podium talking about it, that doesn't make him right. But I do think it's a factor. It's a good point by you.
So again, you're laying this out. Then the new guy asks, well, how much influence will I have on the run game? Well, you're going to be working with Jeff. Okay, so I'm working my concepts with Jeff. You got to be cool with that.
Yeah. All right, you ready for my tinfoil hat?
Yeah, give me the tinfoil hat. I love tinfoil hat.
All right, my tinfoil hat is this. We're at day 16 now of the search. As we got, I think, to day 10, I believe, is when I started asking John the question, what's the owner thinking of the process and it taking time and seemingly not many people wanting to come to Philly? Everybody's got their opinion about why. Some people think it's Jalen. Some people think it's Nick. Some people think it's Stoutland. Some people think whatever. I wonder what the owner thinks. And then I look back to 2020, and I remember Doug Peterson got fired 2 weeks after the season ended. He didn't get fired on Black Monday. Doug Peterson did not get fired on Black Monday. Their season ended, I think, January 6th that year. He got fired January 18th or 19th. And now my tinfoil hat is, if they can't figure out a coordinator or they continue to get insight from interviews that people don't want to work under Nick, does Jeffrey Lurie just blow him out? Now I say it's tinfoil hat because I don't think it's happening. But I do wonder how a 16-day offensive coordinator search for an owner that believes his team is the cream of the crop in the NFL. I wonder what he thinks of those optics and what he thinks of that setup. And could Nicky Sirianni be on the outs. I don't think so.
Can I give you a tinfoil Big Sills?
Wait, you got to respond to my tinfoil first.
I love it.
You think it's possible?
Not this year.
All right, that's fair.
Not this year.
You get the 24 days, you might start thinking different. But
hey, you bet, baby. If this thing gets past the Super Bowl, you're damn right I will.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening, but whatever.
Okay,
go ahead, let me hear yours.
Here's my Big Sills response and retort to Xander's tinfoil. You ready? All right. Who's got the number 1 pick in the NFL draft?
Who's the Raiders?
Mm-hmm.
I know where you're going. I know where you got this from.
Tom Brady's got great respect for the Eagles and Howie Roseman, how they run their shop. Spytech and Mark Davis get on the phone and call Jeffrey Lurie and say, tell you what we'll do. We'll trade that number 1 overall pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni's not worth the number 1 overall pick.
Wait, he's 50-18. He knows how to work with organizations.
Oh shit! Let me send Mark the link. Go ahead, keep talking. Go ahead.
Don't you think that? I mean, you send him to the Raiders, and then what you do is you hire John Gruden as your head football coach to work with Hurts.
The Eagles aren't hiring John Gruden. It made some sense until you got to that point.
Well, who are you going to replace Nick with?
They're not
Sean McDermott.
I think your tinfoil hat's maybe bigger tinfoil hat than mine. Not only do you have him getting rid of Nick, but you got him getting back a 1st overall draft pick.
Well, I mean, the record would dictate that, no? That's what John Gruden was trading for.
I want everybody in the chat to check in on this. How many teams do you think would want Nick if we fired him?
Arizona.
Like you saw Stefanski got fired, boom. Harbaugh, boom. Like coaches are coveted.
Okay, Arizona, the Browns, Tennessee, the Jets. Pick all the shittiest teams on the planet. They can't get the coach right. The Eagles, how about one thing is for sure, too, about the Eagle hires. Name me a coach since 2000 that's had a losing record under Jeffrey Lurie. You know what that is? 0. No coach in Eagle and since 2000 has a losing.
Oh, you mean overall? I was going to say 2020 we won 4 games, but yeah, you're talking about coaching record
of over 500.
Don't say that too loud. His head's already big enough.
I'm just saying. I mean, go get Gruden, send him to the Raiders.
Yeah,
that's number 1 overall.
I like
pick.
Gruden, but they would never hire Gruden.
You get the number 1 overall pick. And
the owner's like a liberal dude. He's not hiring John Gruden. He's not. I'm telling you.
Okay. Maybe he goes back and hires one of his guys, Sean McDermott, or maybe he entices Mike Tomlin.
Look at Sean McDermott. Is nobody interviewing Sean McDermott?
Nope. How about this? How about you convince Mike Tomlin to come to Philly? Okay, let's take Gruden out of it and go. Let's put Mike.
All right. Let's just go to your base. You trade the guy.
Yeah,
I still think
you hire Mike Tomlin as your head coach. He was wanted to covet and work with Jalen Hurts. The Steelers loved him.
This is my tinfoil hat, all right? This is the Sileo tinfoil hat.
I like that. Wait a minute.
This is the
Sileo
tinfoil hat. Yeah, me too. But it's bigger is my point. It's a bigger hat. Yeah, maybe I'll rock this for the rest of the segment.
I like that. That's a good-looking lid there, kid. No? Who would you rather have right now? Mike Tomlin?
I don't think they're getting rid of him. That was my out of the box thing. If we get to day 24, bets are on. Get on Polymarket and predict a firing.
Man. What are the 3 reasons why no one has taken this job, in your opinion? The 3 top reasons. Is it Nick? Is it Jalen? Is it restrictions by the organization? How come this is not an intriguing gig? Dude,
Well,
there's too many pluses and too many things that are good. Hey, look, when I look at the roster from afar in 35,000 feet, fucking AJ Brown and fucking Devontae, Barkley, I see all the
yeah, but
the
dude,
fans.
it's boom or bust, man. It's boom or bust.
Well, welcome to swimming out to sea and wanting to be great. I mean, dude. So what do you want? What you know what that I heard that comment today. You know what I heard? So people like to have one foot on the beach and one foot in the boat. And you want to talk about rowing
No,
out?
I just think there's more at play here than I get it. You're a hyper competitive former football player, and the only thing you see is wins and losses. But these are human beings. There's kids, there's wives, there's families, there's climate, there's taxes, there's you name it. It's a part of it. So when you look at Philly, and how many times have we said this? The pros and the cons. And I said this about the young coaches. Mark, I texted you to it says message sent failure. Mark, did you block my number? Did you block me after the Cowboys got bounced? Let me get on to it now.
That's fucking hilarious.
If you're, I was saying this though, like if you're a young coach,
listen to this.
If you're Declan Doyle, if you're who's the other guy they wanted?
Who?
Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss. Why would you want to come here? Wait, let me run this by you, because he's the name of the week right now. Brian Johnson was a first-year coordinator in the NFL. Guy coached up the 8th-ranked offense, and not only the 8th-ranked statistical offense, they were the 6th-graded offense. It was the highest grade in passing the team has had in the Nick Sirianni era. That guy got put out to pasture, and he's never gotten back to an OC since. He's still not back as an OC. First-year play caller. By the way, with the 31st ranked defense. If you remove the names in the team, and I told you a first-year coordinator had the 8th ranked offense and he had the 31st ranked defense, you'd be like, holy shit, is that guy up for a head coaching gig?
So, folks, in case you don't know, Xander's about ready to get married here. And I'm just curious, Xander, just like building a team, if I married a chick that, for me, was worried about the weather and worried about the fan bases, and I was worried about whatever, and my old lady saw $4.5 million as a coordinator, I think this is more about my old lady would be like, we're going to live in Topeka, Kansas. I don't give a shit what that is, because to me, that comes down to Big Daddy doing this.
Well,
I got the wrong teammate then. And
what if Didi was sitting there saying, Dad, I don't want to leave, man. I love my school. I love my friends. You'd be like, honey, I get you a brand new pony in our new town.
Hey, guess what, Didi? You're going to have a brand new BMW, honey. You're going to have a lot more of the kitty. You're going to have more in the booty chest.
Yeah, look at Mark. Mark, are you listening? You're a crybaby. Mark texted me. No link. I guess you don't want me on. Got it.
Typical liberal.
typical Cowboy fan. Come on, Mark.
Yeah, typical Cowboy fan, Mark. Always crying.
Yeah, it's funny. So all right. You want to go supers here or what?
Let's get the supers, brother. Let's get them.
All right, here we go. Here's Trev. What's up, Trev? Sills, I'd buy out Brady, sharing the Raiders, and make him the head coach. Yeah, well, guess what? The owner's not going to be able to tell him what to do.
Yeah. Could you imagine Brady being a play caller? Holy shit, that'd be incredible.
I don't know. Sometimes great players don't work out as great coaches.
Agreed. But the way he calls the game, the way he shows you what he sees, how he won 7 Super Bowls, I don't know. I enjoy listening to him.
Wait, Catch gives the most simple, logical answer. Fox pays way more. He has 33 large, and he works a couple days a week.
Yeah, $375 million he got.
Yeah. Facts, Sills. Here's one word for dumb Sirianni's coaching style. indecisive.
I don't think that's that terrible.
I don't think he's right, though. It's not indecisive. It's decisive in the way that you don't like.
You
But
think their
it's not
situational play calling is good?
No, but that's not being indecisive. Being
No.
indecisive is not knowing what you want to run each week. They know that they want to run a dummy down offense, no turnovers each week. That's what they want. They're pretty decisive about that.
Yeah.
In the face of a lot of people shitting on them.
They're pretty decisive on them zone runs too, man.
Yeah. German Eagle becomes a member. Thank you, German Eagle. Are you in Germany? Thank you, brother. Here's Marsh.
He is.
Agreed, Xander. Nick dumbass offense is unmessable.
What?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Here's walkout. Erratic is right on, Xander. That's perfect. I agree. I think that's the perfect word. Not only for Nick, but for the team. Here's Pump. Sills. I got a flying saucer I can sell these gullible dum-dums. Absolutely. No way Bob Lang and crew would try to spin things through media.
So wait, I do have to ask you a question.
All right.
Without naming anybody. Do you believe that the Eagle job has really never and hasn't been offered by 7 to 17 guys?
Yeah, but I think it's semantics. I think they don't offer because they don't want to be let down, or they want to hold the cards, if that makes sense.
Sure.
If I know somebody's not going to take the job, I'm not going to offer them.
So if you're interviewing, I want you to listen to how that sounds. I'm interviewing 17 people, but I haven't offered the job yet.
Yeah, right. It's like who's the common denominator? Hey, you might be the problem.
Yeah. I mean, how many? I offered you 17. No, I interviewed 17 people. Have you offered it anybody? No. Then what are you doing? Yeah.
Here is Germany.
He is in Germany.
Is he? Dope. Yeah. By the way, Sills, I think we were right. It wasn't and isn't about Jalen. Mike Garofalo reported that Dable was intrigued by a possible reunion with Jalen, but is close with Salah and went that way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's more about how Nick sees the OC role. That's what we said. It's defined differently in Philly, Xander. You say it all the time. The Eagles are a wild organization. It's just different the way they do shit. Shit, they can't be transparent in anything they do. They can't even tell you BG's supposed to not open his face at a damn remote for WIP. Get him out of there.
All right, here's Leon. If it's Stout, then he should have done it earlier for us to get a real OC. Maybe if it's Stout, Cliff comes here. Remember, Stout was the only reason why.
Wait. You want Cliff Kingsbury over Jeff Stoutland? Not me.
Yeah, me neither, Leon. Here's Freddie. Way. Eagles should move Nick into the front office.
I think that's his next role.
Maybe. Well, they don't like firing people. They just put them in different areas of the building. I mean, Kevin Patullo. Does anybody know what Kevin Patullo is anymore?
Yeah, he's in Howie's old broom closet.
Yeah, that's it. That's now occupied by Kevin Patullo. He can come out of his hermit in 5 years. Here's Kyle. The Packers QB coach intrigues me. He coached 2 different QB styles in Love and Willis.
By the way, he's got a lot of people throwing great love about the way he coaches, and there's a lot of intrigue around the league about him. That Sean Mannion kid or Minion kid, I don't know. The Eagles have me so confused on names, man. There's like 20 of them. I don't know. There's 20 fucking names. I can't keep it's like Xander's old black book back in the day. I can't keep the chicks.
I burnt that black book. That black book no longer exists. Here's Gabe. I'm hearing Fangio might retire. Is this true? Guys, if this is true, yeah.
Man,
then
you can't let Clint Hurt go. Then you can't let Clint go. No way.
All due respect to Clint, I don't think he's going to be what Vic is. And by the way, I hate to say it.
Wait, how about hiring Sean McDermott then?
Wait, this is going to be music to Mark Holmes' ear, who's listening, who's focused in right now in the green room. The Cowboys got the guy you want if Vic was retiring.
Oh yeah, Christian Parker.
That's who you want.
Yeah.
That's who they wanted. Not no disrespect to Clint, but Christian Parker was the guy.
Yeah, but then remember, Sean McDermott worked for Jeffrey Lurie. Would you hire him as your DC?
Maybe. Jim Schwartz might be out there. He is out there.
He is. He wants out of Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, they hired Monken.
Jeff Monken, man.
Wow.
Wow. You know what they hired Jeff Monken for,
They
right?
can't do anything right, dude. The Cleveland
Get this.
Browns.
You know why they hired him, right? They hired him to work with Shador.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Stefanski who didn't.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna.
I thought Shador showed some things. I mean, I know people are hard on him, but he wasn't great. But I thought he showed maybe like that. I don't know, maybe not. Who knows?
I thought the kid in New Orleans was better.
The kid in New Orleans was probably one of the better rookies this year.
Yeah, I thought he was better. I thought he was better than Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward didn't impress me too much, but that's an uphill battle. He had a 10. They didn't have many good players.
Agreed.
I mean, who's his offensive cast? So we'll see. All right, brother.
I'll tell you this: I can't wait to hear Howard Balzer at 5:30.
I hope he rips everybody in up there.
Hey, and what happened?
Or if he didn't vote for Belichick, I hope he comes out and says it with his chest. I'm so tired. They're all lying. I'm not saying Howard's a liar, but there's a lot of them that are lying.
Jason Cole came out and said, by the way, he's on tomorrow. Jason Cole voted for Roger Craig. He voted for Belichick, and he voted for Bob Kraft. Those are the three people that he voted for. And then he's going to have the modern day guys. That's yet to be determined. That vote's coming up. And he can't tell you. By the way, just know this too. Those guys didn't know the totals. They don't know who.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't know.
They have no idea.
They think they know everything. Yeah, only the Hall of Fame knows, right?
Only the Hall.
All right, brother. I appreciate you.
Gotcha, man. Appreciate you, Big T. By the way, do me a favor. After the show, man, I'm gonna. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to go home. So there was just not that. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go home. Yeah. I'm gonna go eat. I guess I'm gonna. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
I love you, man. I do, by the way.
All right. Love you.
I'll talk to you later, dude. All right. That's my boy, Big Z. Good. All right. So, what and why are we in this position? Why and what are we in this position? Wait a minute. I wonder if people would want to work for Dak Prescott. Like, the Dallas Cowboys have a built-in fail-safe with Brian Schottenheimer. Whatever you think of Brian Schottenheimer. Hey, by the way, Dallas Cowboys had the number one offense in pro football. They got their coordinator. By the way, Cowboys got their coordinator right. They just didn't get the D coordinator right. So they believe that they fixed that this offseason. So who's trending in a better place? Is it Philly 500s, Philadelphia Eagles? Or is it actually the team making the less noise? The Dallas Cowboys. Who would have thought that the Cowboys are actually making right business decisions for the first time in like decades, and the Eagles are still sitting back and waiting? This is now day 16. And the Cowboy fans and the Cowboy guys and Mark Holmes are sitting here going, wait a minute. Where are the Philadelphia Eagles going? What is going on? Are the Cowboys now moving past the Philadelphia Eagles? Will they have a better year coming up in 2026? I say this. So before we bring the guys up, are the Cowboys in better shape than the Philadelphia Eagles right now? Are they in better shape? What is the days? Here we go. 42 days away from the start of free agency. 84 days away from the NFL draft. Here we go. Without further ado, the big-time content creator with the Dallas Cowboys. He is our friend, the legend, Mark Holmes joins us now. And on the other side of the aisle, one of the greatest content creators of all time with the Philadelphia Eagles. He is our friend, And he is one of the greats. Philly 500 joins us right now, and here we go. How you doing?
What's happening?
Hey, wait. Dan.
Yo.
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Captain of what? What could you possibly be the captain? You haven't even won anything yet.
Oh my God.
Sills, do you see the arrogance of Cowboy fans? Like you literally haven't done anything. Like, we're still your division champions. We're still your champions. We're still your division champions. Get on your fucking knees right now. There you go.
Do you have an offensive coordinator yet?
Yeah,
no, but I do have a second interview. Just saying.
Hey, and I did sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. I guess we're going there now. Hey, Mark, I'll ask you, from being on that side of being a Cowboy fan, watching the Eagles struggle by looking for a new guy to work with Nick Sirianni and, of course, Jalen Hurts here. What's your takeaway watching what's going on? And they're now up to 16 candidates.
Hey, I tell you what, after sitting here last week and us talking about Christian Parker and seeing Philly just kind of like just being kind of upset and having him come to town and already doing interviews and putting together a staff and finding out that Jerry Jones is out of the way, it feels actually pretty good. And for the Eagles to get down on bended knee and say, can we talk to Caton Adams? And the Cowboys say, no, thank you.
Okay, Philly. I mean, here it is. 16 candidates.
16.
What's the whole? What'd you say, Mark?
You want to ask me what the holdup is?
Please.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I'll say this though. We probably, and I'm guilty of this, but we probably overreact too much to it taking a while. As long as they get the right guy at the end of the day, that's all that matters. All right. They're not playing football next week. They're not playing next month. So I'm more worried about them actually getting it right than taking time. Now, I'm impatient. I do have questions about what the hell's going on, but I do think that we tend to overreact because it's taken a while.
February 19th, 2025, you hired Kevin Patullo 9 days after the Super Bowl, and you hired that guy. It's now 16 days, and we're now counting, and it doesn't look like there's an end in sight. Why is this situation taking longer than last year's situation? And you were coming off a Super Bowl a year ago. Because
the chances are that Nick already knew he was going to hire Patullo as his offensive coordinator probably before Moore got hired. He probably had a backup plan all along. So I'm not surprised that he hired a guy quicker. He only had to promote one guy. He didn't open a door and interview a bunch of people. Sills. It's a little different.
Okay, George Pickens. Now, you guys can't make a move until the new year starts. Yep. He is rated right now as the #1 free agent in all of the National Football League. The chances the Dallas Cowboys have two $30 million wide receivers is what?
95% chance.
Wow. Okay.
One way or the other, they've talked about tagging, which I think is stupid because it's a hard 28.
Hey, do you believe that if you do get Pickens, you have the better wide receiver group of anybody in the NFC East?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, without a doubt, I think you do. Stephen Jones, he's already gone on and said they've had some preliminary talks with Javonte Williams about bringing him back, and says that George Pickens is in their long-term plan. So now they also said that about Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons got traded. So, they're not going to come in and say, oh, no, we're not going to re-sign him. Of course, they're going to say, yeah, we want to get a deal done.
So I'm going to ask you first, Mark, before I go to Philly here. What's the best threesome? We love threesomes here. Dak, Pickens, and CD, or Hurts, AJ, and Devontae.
Are you really asking that question?
Yeah.
Where did their offense rank last year versus the Cowboys?
It was passing wise, it was 25th.
Okay, all right. And where was the Cowboys? I think
Number one. That
Oh,
would be.
okay. Thank you for answering that. For
There we
me.
go.
We could talk about your offense last year. I would love to, because the truth of the matter is what happens to Dak in the playoffs. You can look at last year actually. You could actually look at last year and say, wow, that really is Dak Prescott's whole career, right? Number one offense, puts up all these numbers. But what happens when things get a little tighter and the defenses play you tighter and you have less ground and you're in the you have the money ball, you're in the red zone? What is Dak? He's average. Average red zone offense. But Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, where were they? Number one. Why? Because under pressure, we're better than the Cowboys most times. And it didn't work out all of last year, but most times it does.
Last year. I tell you what, you know what? I said last week, I said it's nice to see you guys becoming the drama queens. This is literally a role reversal here, Philly.
You got to admit, Philly, there's a lot of
usually it's
going
us
on
talking about a wide receiver that's upset not being there. We're usually talking about we need to fire people. You know, you got Xander losing his damn mind. I've been listening to Xander all day. He's going ape shit about, Sirianni might be fired.
Hey, you got to admit, man, it's a lot of noise going on in Philly. Don't you agree?
Look, I know there's a lot of noise, and I know that a lot of noise is like a lot of things we don't know what's going on. I don't think the way the season ended, I don't think what happened in the locker room, I don't think a lot of the things going on this year, we really even know what went down. So, yeah, there's definitely drama, there's no doubt about it. But I don't know that it's like, I don't know it's as crippling as people think it is, but we'll find out.
So Adam Schefter went on 97.5, The Fanatic, and threw a little nugget out there. So, Mark,
yes,
if you don't know, he threw a little nugget out there that said that, and I'm going to paraphrase it here. You ready?
Ready. More
news to come next week. Now, it can't be a trade because you can't do any business until post-March 11th. You can't. I doubt you're firing the coach. Are you concerned that it could be the retirement of Vic Fangio, Jeff Stoutland?
No.
Or the retirement of Lane?
Well, don't say Vic Fangio, because then I will have a shit fit conniption.
Yeah.
All right, because why on earth would you let Christian Parker out the door? I don't believe it's Vic Fangio, because I don't believe the Eagles would let Christian Parker out the door. They would have hired him, and so I don't believe it's Fangio. I think it could be Stoutland. I think it could be Lane, right, retiring. Yep. However, I don't think Lane's going to want to go out the way he did at the end of the year. I don't think he wants to go out that way. I'm going to tell you what I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's Jalen Carter's extension. I think the Eagles are going to announce that they have agreed to terms with him.
Well, they can't really do anything until the new year, though.
No, they can agree with they can work on their own guys.
I think they can't. They can't officially sign it. You're right. I don't know the verbiage on that.
They can work out agreements with their own players, but you can't trade a guy and you can't get a guy in off season. So they can work out a deal with him. So I'm going to say I think it's going to be that. We need good news. We haven't had anything good happen to us. Not since Jalen Phillips was traded. That's like the last really good thing that happened.
Can't afford to bring it back, though, can you?
No, here's the deal.
I don't know.
We
got Howie. We'll be fine.
Here's the thing coming out of the Drew Rosenhaus's folks. The number one team that's in pursuit of him is the Tennessee Titans, and they have over $100 million in cap space.
Yeah,
and so they may
be true.
They may overpay for him, Philly. Okay.
Right.
So hey, Mark, I gave Xander this. You want me to? I'm going to give Philly 500 a heart attack here. You ready?
Oh, please do.
So I said this to everyone in here, and I'm going to give it to you two guys. This is my aluminum foil. Next week, my craziness, the Big Sills craziness. You ready?
Ready.
You trade Nick Sirianni to the Raiders. You get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Then you bring in Mike Tomlin to become the head football coach of the Eagles. That's my ultimate
I love Mike Tomlin, though. Like, if I was a player, he'd be one of the guys I'd want to
The
play.
Raiders don't want Nick Sirianni.
They could have Nick.
50 and 18.
But you sure they're going to give us the first, or are we going to have to give them the first to get rid of him?
No. I'm trading him out. Well, wait a minute here. Okay, Philly, then why don't people – do you think it's Hurts or do you think it's Nick Sirianni?
No.
They don't want the job.
I think it's Nick. I believe it's Nick. I don't believe it's Jalen. I don't think Jalen I mean, even if you want to say he has flaws and he has deficiencies in the pass game, I don't think he comes off to me like such a guy that's hard to work with that somebody's not going to work with him. I think it's Nick, and I think it's having to basically do things that Nick wants done on offense. And I don't think people want to do it. Maybe it's Stoutland. We've had reports that Stoutland could be an issue. So it's one of those. I don't believe it's Hurts. But, I mean, look, I don't know. Who knows at the end of the day? I have no idea at this point.
Do you believe the Dallas Cowboys, Mark, are in a better place right now on January 28th? Do you believe they're in a better place right now than the Philadelphia Eagles?
I would say that the Cowboys are headed up, and I'm going to go back, like I said before, that I think the Eagles are taking a big step back. Every scenario that you put out there, whether it's Lane, whether it's Nick, or it's Vic Fangio leaving, is another hit. Us getting Christian Parker is another hit against the Eagles right there. The fact that you've had 16 people that you've contacted and nobody, this might be a record.
That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? All it means is you interviewed 16 people.
Okay, so you interviewed 16.
Okay.
Wait, doesn't that tell you that?
I would imagine that you would talk to the people that you wanted the most first, right?
Well, that's why the point that I made about
you're not gonna say, well, I'm gonna go ask this nobody and get turned down by him.
Yeah, but wait a minute. So listen to how that sounds. You interviewed 16 people, but you haven't offered a job to anybody? Well, what are you doing?
Well, I don't believe that news. Okay,
I don't believe that either. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that. Yeah, I don't. I think that's a save face type comment to come out. No, I mean, for whatever reason, they haven't found the right person for the job. I don't care if they interview 1,000 people, as long as at the end of the day you get it right. That it's about getting it right.
It is.
So, I mean, should we give them a little bit of wiggle room? What I want to know is who's running the interviews, because I tell you this, I know they say it's Nick and it's Jeffrey Lurie, but I really wonder, Howie and Jeffrey, I really wonder if it's somebody else, because I think Howie is the type of guy, if you just go by his history, he figures out what he wants and he gets it. So, I mean, who knows? And you know what my conspiracy theory, bombshell news is? You want to hear it?
Yeah, please.
Howie leaves for the Jets.
Man, that would be crippling.
That would be devastating. That's my biggest fear. Because we had all those reports last year about the Jets wanting to hire him. Remember that?
Wow.
So that would suck.
Howie leaves for the New York Jets because that's a job he's always coveted.
I get sick thinking about it. I feel sick.
That's a really good tinfoil one.
I
man.
feel sick in my stomach. I'm very good with the.
Hey, how about this one? How about this one? How about you ready for this one? Dolphins are looking right now for a GM. Okay, the Dolphins are looking for a general manager right now.
Yeah. See, but here's the one thing. I mean, I that's like my conspiracy theory. Howie's not going to get the wiggle room that he gets in Philly. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie allows him to make
He's got to find the
mistakes.
right owner. He's got to go with the right owner.
So to me, the only way to get if I'm Howie, the only way I'm leaving is if I get like part ownership somewhere. Otherwise, I have
like the Browns,
no interest. Yeah, like that would be the only way because there's no owner. I mean, say what you want about Jeffrey Lurie, but I think he's a great owner. I mean, this guy gives you the opportunity to make mistakes, fix the mistakes, and he deserves credit for that.
I think you just gave me a great topic, and I'll ask Mark Combs. Mark, what separates Jerry Jones from Bob Kraft, who's now gone to his 11th Super Bowl now?
What separates them is Bob Kraft gets people to do football things. Jerry Jones is a marketing genius and gets in the way.
Empowers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? Think about it. He went with Bledsoe and he went with Parcells.
Yep.
He went with Brady and Belichick, and now he's there with Vrabel and May.
Mm-hmm.
One thing Jerry's not been able to do is duplicate what Jimmy did. They've never been able to. So I'll ask you the same question. Don't you think you've left Super Bowls on the table by the way that you micromanage your football team, Philly? I mean, what's the difference between Bob Kraft and Jeffrey Lurie? Jeffrey Lurie has been to, let me see, McNabb, and he's been to 4 Super Bowls, correct? He's been to 4 Super Bowls to get 2 wins. I think you guys have left at least 2 on the table. Okay, I think there's probably 2 you've left on the table because the way you do business. What's the difference between Kraft and Jeffrey Lurie, in your opinion?
Tom Brady.
Well, no, there's 3 different people that went to Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks.
Well, Tom Brady, to me, when you have Tom Brady, you're probably going to win most of those Super Bowls.
No, I get it, but you've gone to the game 3 different times with 3 different people.
Right. I don't know. Well, wait, who did? Oh, Bledsoe. You're thinking, right? He went.
Yeah, when he bought the team, he went with
right.
Bledsoe.
That's right. I forgot about that third one or that first one.
That's right. They went there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, Belichick's not a Hall of Fame coach. So who knows? I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Hey, we're gonna get to that one right now. So you since you started, finish the Lurie one.
No, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know because I think Jeffrey Lurie has done a really good job. I mean, I guess personnel at the end of the day, you didn't have the right guys at the right spot when you needed it, I guess. Otherwise, I think it's been pretty close, really.
11-4.
Well, in terms of you've gone to 4. He's gone to 4
with different regimes.
And 1, 2.
Different regimes. I got it. Yeah. Okay. I'll go there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Since you brought it up, 334 victories, 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach. He coached Brady and Lawrence Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with you, Philly. I mean, 11 people thought that then Nick Sirianni's accomplishments mean nothing. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, has gone on a tangent, and he never goes off like that. Never goes off. Your takeaway on what you saw there with the pettiness of the Hall of Fame voters. By the way, I got one coming up at 5:30 in Howard Balzer. What's your takeaway on that?
I think it was criminal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is have to do with the Inflategate thing. Are they punishing him for that year or whatever? That I think even if you took half his Super Bowl victories away, he's still a Hall of Fame coach. I thought it was criminal, but it just goes to show you, a lot of times you hear these sports guys want to act like they know everything, they know what the hell they're talking about. Then you see something like that, and it's just it's crazy. To me, it was absolutely insane.
How about this, too? Think about this, guys. Does that mean Brady now has to sit a year because he was involved in that, too? Is he not a first ballot Hall of Famer? I mean, is that where you're going to go? Mark, give me your takeaway on this. What
I tell you what it feels like. It feels like T.O. and it feels like Michael Irvin. And I remember actually meeting Michael Irvin the first time, the night about an hour after he found out he wasn't going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There is no question Brady is a Hall of Famer. There's no question. This is all politics just to say you're going to wait a year because we just don't like you. It's bullshit. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
I can't believe, like, that you would come up with, and you tell Bill Belichick every single accomplishment that any coach has ever had. I mean, Tony Dungy's not a Hall of Famer. Jimmy Johnson's not a Hall of Famer. Or they're not first ballot guys. So you're telling me,
what would you rank Belichick as, top 5 coaches of all time? Like, where would you put him? 2?
If I had to put
1, 2,
great
3?
question. Okay, let's do this, guys. Here's my 5 coaches. I'll do 4 because that's a Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches. Belichick's in that list. I would put Lombardi in there. I would put Shula in there. And I would probably put
Walsh.
Man.
Yes, it's hard.
Walsh or Noel.
Yeah, Noel too. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Belichick, Lombardi, Shula, and Noel. And if I'm gonna rank them, I'm gonna go Lombardi 1, Belichick 2, Shula 3, and Noel 4. It's a tough one here.
I'm sorry. I got to put Tom Landry ahead of Shula. Tom Landry was offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
They won as many Super Bowls.
He was an innovator, using, of course, the computer, going to small schools, finding talent where nobody else did, came up with the shotgun, the flex defense, and ended up bringing the Dallas Cowboys dynasty. Sorry, you got to put it in. It's tough when you start saying, but you got to have Bill Belichick in there as one of the top 2. Now, Lombardi has got to be number 1.
Then every coach right now, we all can agree that not one coach should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's coaching currently.
That's right. That means Andy Reid.
Right.
He's better than all of them. Yeah, and Andy, I think, is all.
Well, if you don't say Bill Belichick, then you can't say Andy Reid. But Andy Reid, you got to look at Andy Reid there too and put him up there as a guy that should have the chance of being a number 1.
Well, if he averages 10 wins for the next 4 years, he'll pass Shula.
Right.
Okay, and he's going to have Mahomes for another 4 years, so he's going to get 40-plus wins.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Andy Reid is going to have the most wins and could potentially catch that 31 victories in postseason play. Philly, who do you have for 4? Who would be your 4 all-time coaches?
I would have, just like you, 1, 2, 3, but I would have Walsh, and I didn't see a lot of names, but I would put Walsh 4. That would be my 4. I'm not putting Landry top 4. He can kiss my ass.
Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't.
What is he have? 230 wins, 230? Is that?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there, 230 victories. I know that Reed just passed him on the all-time list. Mark, what's the number 1 need in the offseason here as you get ready for free agency? It's
actually 270.
270 wins. Wow. Yeah. That's right. Reed's at 279 right now, I think.
Right, and that's including playoffs.
Okay. What Cowboys' number 1 need in the offseason? Not the draft yet, but number 1. And do you think the Cowboys are going to make moves in free agency?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of Cowboy fans don't like Stephen Jones. But the thing I will say about Stephen Jones is he does not lie to you. When he says we're going to do something, they do it. Unlike Jerry can say we're going to go all in and do absolutely nothing. They say they're going to go in free agency to get more talent. They say that they're going to try and get Pickens re-signed and Javonte Williams along with Clowney. So if they do go in free agency, then that's going to be a great thing.
For you, Philly, I think you got a tougher conversation here because it's going to dictate. Look, no, hear me out.
I know. It's going to dictate taking it on the chin.
Hey, it's going to dictate who's coming back, right? I mean, if Lane doesn't come back, you need an OT. If AJ doesn't come back, you're going to need a wideout. If you don't sign or re-sign Jalen Phillips, that means you're going to need an edge. Okay, so what's their need coming up in this offseason?
Regardless, because I don't know if we're going to have to go back to the prevent offense. I think your number one. I think your number one need is offensive line. I think you have to fix that offensive line. I think the interior of that line needs major reinforcements. So I would like to see the Eagles with one of their top two picks get a guard. Maybe bring in Mekhi Becton if he gets cut. I think you need to do that. I also think you need to get Jordan Davis and Carter both signed long term. You still need to get a corner. What I think they're going to do, I think you're going to see the Eagles use free agency on defense side of the ball. And I think you're going to see them start to draft young offensive players. And we're going to start to see the shift of where the money goes. And I think they're going to start that. So I expect free agency. I expect defense. Draft, I expect heavy on offense.
Couple last ones here for you guys. Mark, I'm going to throw this at you first before I go back to Philly on it.
Mm-hmm.
See all the things he's just said about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter?
Mm-hmm.
I watched a dude play football this past weekend in the AFC Championship game who's now going to his third Super Bowl in 4 years. This guy's name is Milton Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, Milton Williams,
incredible.
$26 million. And that's what's going to cost probably around to get Jalen Phillips signed. And I'll tell you, man, that Milton Williams right now, he looks better than,
it's not even close.
He looks better than Jalen Carter, and he looks better than Jordan Davis.
He looks
right
great.
Now. I think that's a miss on Howie, letting that dude roll out the window. Now I get it. The conversation is this, Philly. You're right. Can't sign everybody, but bro, that guy's an all-star, dude.
I know. He's fantastic, and
you know, I think.
I get it. I get it. But I think if you're where Howie was, and if you kind of stick with the philosophy the Eagles stick with, they're not letting young guys that they draft high walk out the door. They just don't do it. And they weren't going to do it with Davis, and they weren't going to do it with Carter. I think Milton Williams with Vrabel also, I think it helps that defense a lot. I think he's a good fit there. But I just think that, you know, you had look, Jordan Davis had a great year. I think he's only going to get better. I think Carter, I think he'll rebound. And Ojomo wasn't that bad. I mean, so yeah, Milton Williams is a great player, but those guys, those interior guys are good. As far as Jalen Phillips goes, like I said, if I can get him for under 30, I would make an attempt to. I would try.
Mark, what'd you think of the championship games, AFC and NFC title games? You take anything out of them?
Well, you got to give some respect to Sam Darnold, and defense does matter. You know, everybody kept saying, "Oh no, Sam Darnold's not going to
31 wins."
Yeah, he has turned the narrative around, and you know what you've learned is it's beyond just the quarterback. That you looked at all these teams. It's not like you had a chopped liver defense last year when you won the Super Bowl, there, buddy.
This guy does whatever he can, doesn't he? It's like a boomerang. It always comes back to Dak. Go ahead. Darnold had help.
Wait a minute here. Here's this.
If Darnold led the league in turnovers.
Wait a minute here. Get this here, Mark. The Eagle fans think that Sam Darnold is a mediocre quarterback.
No, not me.
Well, that's what they were saying about him a year ago.
Well, I was too.
And by the way, here he is now. So a mediocre quarterback then can take your football team to the Super Bowl. Is that right?
I was too. I said he had to prove himself in the playoffs, and you know what? He did. So he shut me up. He shut everybody else up. You can't look at a guy that's won that many games in 2 years and then played the way he did in that championship game and say that he can't win. He's proven himself. Okay, Dak has never done that. This guy
always goes
has
back
done
to
it.
Dak, doesn't it? Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm finishing what you tried to start. You know, that's it.
The Eagles are on fire. Let's talk about Dak.
No, you started it. You started it. I just finished it.
Okay, talking about firing your coach every day. Let's talk about Dak. Let's change the subject.
So let me explain. Everything Mark does, and everybody in the chat, they all know everything he does. Every video, it circles back to Dak. It doesn't matter what it could be like. I was out cutting some chicken's heads off today, getting ready to sacrifice some
maple
for
syrup.
the big game.
Maple
But
syrup.
Maple
that
syrup.
thing.
I
Okay.
tripped and I fell on my hatchet and cut myself. But that could happen. Sometimes Dak trips too. It happens to everybody. It's like always back to Dak. Doesn't matter what. And Mark tried in this thing. He tried to circle back Darnold to Dak, and you can't do that.
I'm trying to circle back to Jerry Jones waking the F up and has got to do more on defense than they've done. We've been atrocious as far as free agency goes in defense, and we've sucked ass in drafting on defense. Of course, we got Micah, we got D-Law. Those are the two big ones you can look at over the last 12 years.
D-Law, talk about
Holy shit.
D-Law's freaking good.
Hey, Mark. He validated what he said when he got dealt. When he signed there, he validated everything he said about the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, and I think that resonated with the Cowboys because right now they're actually operating things a lot different than usual. They never go out in a hurry to go ahead and sign a coordinator or any coaches.
Yeah.
They are knee deep, and right now it has been Christian Parker who's the one who's been picking and working with this, him and Brian Schottenheimer. So, yeah, they're working a little bit differently, and they're working with a sense of urgency right now.
Yeah, there's a pacing to it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. What were your takeaways, Philly, for the NFC and AFC championship games? Anything you took away on it?
Yeah, the Seattle and Rams are so much better coached than us. The way that they can make in-game adjustments is just fantastic. Like they could go, drive, Seattle defense adjust, next drive, Rams offense adjust. They don't wait. We take 3-4 quarters. So I saw it as way better coached than us. And then I took I also took that Sam Darnold proved himself. I mean, here's a guy that won a lot of games, really choked by with the Vikings in that playoff game, looked bad. And he went out and answered the call. And if you're going to sit there and I'm going to sit there and say, well, Jalen Hurts, a winner, wins big games, then you have to put Darnold right up there because he did the same thing. And I think Sam Darnold proves to me that, he's a hell of a quarterback. They got a hell of a team in Seattle. And as far as the other game, I just think I didn't like the game plan Denver had. I thought they put too much on that kid.
Yeah,
they needed to try to run the ball better. They needed to do more for him. And I thought they had their chance early in that game, but once that weather turned and with that quarterback, they were done. So I think it'll be interesting Super Bowl. I do think Seattle's going to win it though.
To your point about JSN, how they got him open. I mean, they moved that guy all over the football field, and what a receiver that guy turned out to be. Mark, last one here for you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl. What do you like in it, man? Seattle and the Patriots. How about this little nugget here for the Patriots? Patriots are 9-0 on the road this year. They've never lost a road game. And they're going, and now they're going to be playing in their 11th Super Bowl under the Kraft regime. And you got Sam Darnold there. I think Seattle's the best team in football right now, but
Boom.
What do you like in this ball game?
No disrespect to the Patriots, but do you realize that 11 of their games they played against were teams that ended up firing their coach?
Wow.
Think about that for a second. 11?
That's
11
crazy.
Yes. So, you play who's in front of you, and they've done what it takes to win. But I think Seattle on that defense is going to do something too. I really do.
Wow, that's a great nugget there. What about you, Philly?
Yeah, I like Seattle. I think they're going to be the better team. I like their defense, and I like the way Darnold's playing. So I'll take Seattle. I like the way they run the ball too. I like their offense. I like the way they're coached, and I like Vrabel, and I think he does a great job with New England. But I think Seattle's a little too much.
I do too. I think that injury to Charbonneau is probably going to hurt them a little bit in that game.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a heck of a Super Bowl coming up in a couple weeks here. Guys, I appreciate it. You two guys are dear friends, some of the greatest content creators that are out there, man. I appreciate all of you. Mark, I see you go live all the time. I check you out, and I see Philly too. Boy, I'll tell you, man, he's kind of right about one thing. It does circle back to Dak, though. You know, it does all circle back to Dak. But you must be enjoying yourself watching the 16 coaches roll through Novacare right now.
Are you sure it's not at 17 right now?
Oh,
I mean, we've
by
been
the
here
end
for
of
an
the day,
hour.
I'm sure it's going to be by the end of the day. Guys, I appreciate you and love you guys very much. Thank you so much for doing this.
Peace out.
All right. Thank you, guys. Peace.
You got it. That is Philly 500 and the legendary Mark Holmes. We appreciate that. Bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. He is Howard Balzer, who was in the room when all of this shook out with Bill Belichick. We'll ask him about Bill Polian. We'll ask him about all of the comments that have been made over the last 48 hours, actually 24 hours, since the news broke that Bill Belichick was not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So we will pay some bills here now. Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason, because they win with over $26 billion recovered. Make no mistake about it. The number one reason that Morgan & Morgan is the number one injury law firm in all of America is because they win and because they protect families. They do everything with their thousands of attorneys to make sure if you've ever been injured on the job, that they protect you and your family. Folks, there's a reason they're number one. We've told you this. This will be the easiest decision you ever make. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound love 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound love 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
Had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, Trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Nick Sills, National Football Show. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. We were going to have a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter on in a couple minutes. He is one of the 50 men that were in the room that made that decision not to make Bill Belichick a first ballot Hall of Famer. Jason Cole will be with us tomorrow, so we'll talk to him tomorrow on this and get his opinion. I would have had him on today, but he couldn't do it later in the day, so we did him early, and we'll do him tomorrow, and we'll even try to reach out to Jared Bell, who also made a public statement saying, don't clump me in with that. Maybe that the Hall of Fame voting should be a little bit more transparent. So we'll talk to these guys, and one of the reasons we talk to Hall of Fame voters is for moments like this. Okay? Jason Cole making bagels? You mean making money because he owns 4 bagel shops. I mean, my friend thinks that Jason works at a bagel shop. He theoretically does, but he owns 4 of them. How you doing? Yeah. Okay? No, he's tomorrow. I like McDermott thought. Might do it without even trading Nick. Philly like to make splash, or if Vic retires, becomes the DC. That's my take. That may be the reason why Sean McDermott hasn't interviewed with anybody, is because he's going to become the new defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. I say it's one of those things. I do. Vic retires, Lane retires, or Stoutland. One of those 3 things. It's not a trade. I don't believe it's anything to do with Nick. Okay? I just don't. By the way, Z, I may have missed a couple supers during the interview with the guys at Battle Royale. What's going on with Nick? What did I miss? I don't think there's anything going on with Nick. I don't think there's anything. I think they're in the process of looking for the offensive coordinator that best fits what they're looking. You know, these guys are, that there's so many names. There's 16 names that these guys have mentioned. And when I hear John McMullen talking with Xander in the morning on Birds 365, by the way, and I heard those guys talking, well, they've never been offered a job. No one's been offered a gig. That's Bob Lang's spin. You mean to tell me 16 people you spoke to, you never offered the job to any one of those guys? So what were you talking to him about? So you just keep rolling past? Oh, hey, thanks for the interview. Hey, thanks for the interview. Hey, thanks for the interview. But you keep doing that on all these great candidates that you think. Now, somebody could be out of nowhere and all of a sudden land, and there he is. But they're also narrowing the field by doing this. Seals missed my super chat because he didn't want to answer in front of 500 and Mr. Holmes. That's not true. What are you talking about? Yeah, why? Because I'm afraid? What do you think? I'm some of these media guys? Afraid of what? An anonymous? Who wins 93 Cowboys or the 2025 Eagles? Who is the best coach out of both teams? Come on, man. You trying to tell me you think Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Jimmy Johnson? Jimmy Johnson's won championships at every level. Jimmy Johnson is a team builder. Jimmy Johnson has say in hiring of coaches. Jimmy built the coaching staff, he built the roster, and he won ball games. Where in a million years do you think Nick Sirianni does any of those things? Let's just say you think he is as talented. He never did any of those things. He didn't hire his assistant coaches. He didn't build the roster. He didn't trade Herschel Walker to get all those draft picks. Not one of those. And then They were the youngest team in the NFL. And they would win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. There's no argument. Now, the 93 team was as good a football team that's ever been assembled. I think that 2025 Eagle team was outstanding. But to me, the 93 Cowboys are one of the greatest teams of all time because of their depth. They were just so deep. Plus, you had the greatest running back of all time. You had one of the greatest possession wideouts of all time. You had one of the greatest O-lines of all time. So, I mean, Emmitt Smith's the greatest back that's ever lived. Okay? I mean, Emmitt Smith, there's a reason that he had 10,000 plus rushing yards in high school and 18,000 yards plus in the NFL. I mean, 18,000 yards rushing in the NFL, 10,000 yards rushing in high school, and 4,000 yards rushing in college. I don't know what else you need to hear. Every single level, Emmitt Smith had the most yards. 10 grand. I mean, think about that. 10 grand in high school in 4 years. This guy averaged over 2,500 yards a year in high school. Emmitt was not the best. You tripping. I like Barry Sanders. Like I said, dude, tripping. Numbers speak for themselves. You know what I say to you, guy? Resume. Resume. Emmitt is not the greatest. Resume. 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 Okay? 10K in high school. Yeah. Resume. Resume. It's like fighting Belichick. Resume. Sorry. Resume. Say whatever you want. Yeah. Well, resumes matter, dude. Sills, why did the Browns choose Monken over Schwartz? Want to work with they want to work with Shedeur Sanders. They want him and try to make him better. Stat pattern, 3 Super Bowl wins and an MVP in a Super Bowl. It's not stat padding. 3-time Offensive Player of the Year. 3-time Super Bowl champion. 4-time rushing champion. The stat pattern was in Detroit. There's 3 Super Bowl rings. It's stat padding. Wait a minute. I thought Super Bowl wins were team accomplishments. Well, here, they are. He beats you both ways. Okay, take the team accomplishments away. Resume. Sure. Emmitt beats you both ways. Championships, take them away. And accomplishments. Nobody's accomplished more rushing the football in NFL history than Emmitt Smith. I mean, team accomplishment? Okay, take them away. Emmitt Smith gained $4,000 in high school, $4,000 in Florida, $10,000 in high school, and 18,000 yards in the NFL. I'm not sure what to say. You're fighting a resume. Hurts has a resume. Hurts has team accomplishments. He doesn't have a resume when it comes to his numbers. His numbers are dog shit. Emmitt Smith's has the greatest numbers in pro football history for a running back. Compared to Emmitt, they're dog shit. She says, I can't believe you're defending a Gator. Not defending him, speaking facts. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's a lie? Hate the boys. All you want, Johnson built a super team. all you want. Johnson built a super team. Okay. That's what head coaches like Jimmy Johnson do. They build a super staff. They build a super team and they win. Isn't that what coaches are supposed to do? Oh, but not in today's NFL. Jerry Jones, like Kraft, is who driven tool. They can thank Jimmy and Bill for anyone knowing their name. Well, here, I'll tell you this. If Jerry Jones was so great at building a football team, oh, I see what you're saying. Like Kraft, who is driven tool, they can thank Jimmy and Bill for anyone knowing their name. Correct. You're right. Those two coaches built their dynasties. That's correct. Okay. I mean, Jerry Jones has never been able to duplicate it since. Barkley is nowhere in the room with Emmitt Smith. I mean, Saquon Barkley will be lucky to finish in the top 25 in rushing, let alone the top 10. Sills, how come coaches want to be under Kyle or McVay when they don't call plays? He teaches you how to design offenses. He teaches you how to design route trees. He teaches you how in-game situational play calling. I'll tell you this, and I agree with John a little bit in this. Some of those situational play callings, he's got a little Andy Reid in them. 2 minutes to the half and 2 minutes to the end of the game. And, you know, a little bit of wobbling in there. He's got a hell of a resume, though. Okay? I think Henry's 5th all-time right now. He's 28. Dude. And he dropped off 900. Saquon Barkley is not going to the Hall of Fame. Are you trying to say that Saquon Barkley is as good as Emmitt Smith? My God, are you dumb? I'd take Barkley and Shady over Emmitt. Of course you would. Why don't you ask those two players if they would? You should ask those two guys if they would take themselves over Emmitt. The Howie thought is interesting and devastating if it happens. Oh, my God. Yeah, did Howie ever sign that contract extension with the Eagles? Did he? Stills, pull up 22 and 24 passing charts. Compare them, and let's see if there's much of a difference. 24, they threw the football 361 times. In 22, they threw the football like 428, 438, something like that. All right, folks. I got to tell you, I talked to Jason Cole this morning, and we're going to talk to Jared Bell tomorrow as well, along with Jason here. But I talked to him on my radio show. And one of the reasons why we are so fortunate to have friends. Now, I want to lay this out to you before we bring Howard Balzer in here. I want to lay this out. Howard doesn't know anything when it comes to the totals and where those votes landed. They're not privy. I think the only people that are privy to it are the Hall of Fame themselves. So when these guys vote in a room, they don't know. Like, they don't know the vote totals. Now, I am going to say this before I bring Howard on. There was a meeting a couple weeks ago that nobody knows about with the Hall of Fame voters that wasn't supposed to be public. I knew that there was a meeting. Now, I don't know if it had anything to do with this, but ESPN released it 24 hours ago. It became evident that Bill Belichick was not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I respect these voters. My uncle's in that Hall of Fame. A guy with 334 victories and 8 Super Bowls. I mean, I don't know where to go. Jason Cole said he voted for Belichick. He voted for Kraft. and he voted for Roger Craig. And then the modern day guys are, I believe, already been voted on, and yet that total's yet to be determined yet. So I don't know. And nor would I say if they had told me, because I have confidence in some of these guys. So without further ado, there's 50 men and some women that are part of this. And one of our friends who's been involved in this process a long time is our friend Howard Balzer, and he joins us now here on the program. Howard, it's been an interesting 24 hours to say the least, hasn't it?
I would say it's fair to say, Dan, that the proverbial you-know-what hit the fan. And
yeah.
On several levels, it's disappointing, besides even whether this report is accurate, because not only don't we know the totals, we don't even know the result, the selectors. We're not told. We find out when everybody else finds out. Next Thursday at NFL Honors, who the class is. You know, some of the disappointment, aside from this report, and we'll get into that, is that apparently there were some selectors who chose to talk to ESPN and reveal stuff that was said in the room. They didn't put names on it, but they talked about things that were allegedly said. That's disappointing because we're not supposed to do that. It's in the bylaws that we're not supposed to do that. But the other thing that's somewhat troubling, Dan, is that this entire debate about Bill Belichick is being done without, I think, important context in terms of what the class looks like. Now, you made the point about the modern day guys. Yes, the vote has been done on them also. We don't know the result. But many people commenting on this, I would whatever the percentage is, don't even know the process, don't understand it, and also don't know, which we've discussed here, how it was changed last year that has created some additional difficult decisions for the voters to make when it comes to the final reduction. Now, I will say that we know the final 7 in the modern day guys. We don't know the vote after that or what happened with it. We know, obviously, the 5 guys, the coach, the contributor, and the 3 seniors players, because that was, there was no reductions of that group, except for the fact that we were only able to vote for 3 of them. And that creates issues. So in the context, what I was getting at, and in the important part of the context, I think, is Robert Kraft. Because it's interesting, last year, ESPN made a big hullabaloo about the fact that Robert Kraft wasn't the contributor finalist in the election. And how could this happen? How could this not happen? Well, I guess they don't know what happened with Robert Kraft, but there was virtually no mention of that in the story. And I think that is, until we know whether Robert Kraft got in or didn't get in, either way, there's certainly the possibility that both those guys' presence together, where in effect they're pitted against each other, as the players are too, impacted the way the vote went. And so, like I said, we've talked about that, before, how last year, prior to last year, when we got those finalists, for modern day guys, it was cut to 5, and then we voted yes or no on each one individually. On the group of 5, I'll mention this. 11 years ago, in 2015, the Hall of Fame removed contributors from the modern day player group because that's where contributors were considered. So if Ralph Wilson, Ed DeBartolo, name the owner, name the GM, if any of them, George Young, if any of them made the final 15, they were considered along with players, as were coaches. And that became a tough hill to climb. So they removed contributors and set up a separate committee of contributors back in 2015. And then they set up a 5-year plan, not knowing the pandemic was going to come in 5 years, but they set up a 5-year plan of alternating years. 1 year there was 1 senior and 2 contributors. The next year there were 2 contributors and 1 senior. And then it alternated like that for 5 elections. and it enabled more seniors to get talked about and elected, and it enabled more contributors to get elected. Bill Polian, Ron Wolf, Bobby Beathard, Gil Brandt, Pat Bolin, Jerry Jones. The list goes on. Then, after the Centennial class, which of course was voted on just prior to the pandemic, after that year, they removed the coaches from the modern day list because they were still being considered with them. That was in 2021. That enabled Tom Flores to get in. It enabled Dick Vermeil to get in. In 2023, only 3 years ago, they decided to increase, because there's so many seniors flooding this pool, that they increased it to 3 guys that would be considered, 3 finalists, with the hope of more getting in. The first 2 years, all 3 did. I'm sorry. No, in 2023, all 3 did. In 2024, 2 of the 3 got in. So 5 of the 6 made it. But again, they were all voted on individually. Yes or no, 80% needed to get in. Last year, it all changed. And now they pitted all the seniors players against the coach and the contributor. They're all against each other with a limited number of votes. And so that has affected the process. There's no doubt about it. And that led last year to only 1 guy from that group of 5, Sterling Sharp and the seniors, to get in. 2 other seniors didn't get in. The coach, Mike Holmgren, didn't get in. And the contributor, Ralph Hay, did not get in. And so, to me, a decade of separating out those guys and then still having them considered individually was eliminated, to now have to choose between 3 seniors and a coach and a contributor. Guys in the seniors pool, once they're in there as the finalist, who knows if they'll ever come back, right? Robert Kraft has been in the final, in the group of 10 or 12 that have been discussed for several years, but never made that 1 guy or the 2 guys in those years. There was that. Bill Belichick, of course, now is a first-time eligible guy, and he enters the process. When they changed that rule, that you had to be out 5 years for a coach, they changed that to 1. So all these changes have contributed, that's all I'm saying, contributed to what is being reported as the result here. But it's hard for me to believe that there isn't some impact on Belichick and Kraft, and all the arguments that people are making about Bill Belichick, which are all, high top of the list. You can make some of the same arguments for Robert Kraft. I mean, he's the guy that hired Bill Belichick when the whole league and the public were saying, "What's he doing?" Not only hiring him as a head coach, but gave him control of the football operations. They said he was nuts. He saved the Patriots for New England when they might have moved because the ownership was so bad. Got a new stadium built. Was very instrumental in collective bargaining with the league and being involved in league affairs. So it's impossible to compare the two, obviously, but it was under Robert Kraft's watch that the Patriots were successful with Bill Belichick. And doesn't everybody always say, Dan, that success in sports, success in business starts at the top?
It does.
You can make some of the same arguments that Robert Kraft is just as deserving. I don't know if more so. That's up to individual opinion, but certainly just as deserving as Bill Belichick to be in, especially for as long as he has been eligible and has been considered. So that's all I'm saying right now, is that it's hard to debate Belichick in a vacuum when we don't know what the whole vote is. How many guys got in? Was it 1? Was it 2? We don't know. And if it's only 1, we don't even know if they got 80%.
I get that, Howard, but for me, like the names that you're even debating with, and again, when we're talking Hall of Fame, I want people to know we're talking about the 1%ers of the 1%ers. And so when we're talking about even, the receiver in Arizona, we're talking about a Steve Smith Sr. or somebody like that, doesn't 334 victories, that puts a guy in the room with Hallis. That puts him in the room with Shula. We're not just talking about a Hall of Fame guy. We're talking about one of the greatest coaching resumes that's ever been assembled. I mean, there's no coincidence he coached Brady and Lawrence Taylor. I mean, you start adding all of this stuff up, and how does it land on where you're hearing people? There were 11 guys that were in that room that said, no, Belichick's 334 victories. Okay, the process means more than what that guy's resume. How do you differentiate that?
Well, it's a great question. And first of all, we don't know it was 11. We know it was only at least 11.
Okay.
It would be interesting if the Hall of Fame made the announcement, they find out that 20 guys didn't vote for him. I mean, who knows?
You're right. You're right. We don't know right now.
We don't know the answer to that. And everybody who makes the points about his what he has done is right on. But I also think as that, and the entire legacy of it's interesting to me that during Spygate and during all these things that happened to the Patriots, all you heard about, oh man, this is a cheating team. This is a cheating team. Now, all of a sudden, he doesn't get in the Hall of Fame, and all of a sudden, the whole thing is, well, that stuff shouldn't matter. Well, it's part of a legacy of a guy, and I don't know what everybody else thought, what all the voters thought, but it's possible that could have been part of it. I do think, however, and assuming that this report is right, I do think that if he was voted on individually, he would have been elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But when you bring in the other aspects of this, every person thinks differently. Mike Sando put it out. Did someone think, well, it's his first year of eligibility, he'll get in, but the seniors are going away most likely if they don't get in after all this effort. So I think the process, I agree. I'm not saying that the process trumps what someone did, but I do believe that it impacts how the vote goes. And if Robert Kraft didn't get in, here we are. Are they coming back again? Both of them coming back next year? And so, that keeps out, I don't know if there's any really top contributors, but, Mike Holmgren was probably pretty close last year. He doesn't make the finals. Other coaches certainly are deserving. And I'm not saying that someone should say, well, even if we're against Bill, but let's put him in just to make sure other coaches get in. I'm not saying that should be part of the thinking, but some of that thinking is impossible to avoid. And so, and anyway, that's my take on a lot of it. And I think, like I said, all the debate now, it's difficult to have it in that vacuum in terms, especially which made it different with Kraft being there also. And so that's right. where I am.
For you, do you think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Who, Belichick?
Yes.
You can make the case for it, absolutely. But I don't think anything's a slam dunk anymore. I don't think it's a slam dunk with players anymore. It used to be with players.
Did you pause on that question in the room when they asked you? Did you like when you were coming down and you were looking and you saw the ballot there, were you one of the voters in the room that said, this is not a slam dunk?
I think that for all of them. And it turns, and then we'll see what happens next Thursday. But I think the whole first ballot thing gets pushed up in this whole, whole thing that it takes away from some others. And what I was going to say about the slam dunk, like even with guys like Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, we'll see next Thursday if they're elected. There was a time, Dan, when someone was presenting Jerry Rice or someone was presenting Joe Montana, presented Emmitt Smith, whatever it was, Peyton Manning, they'd stand up and they'd say, I present Peyton Manning for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they drop the mic, and then they say any discussion, and there wasn't any discussion. Well, now you can't assume anything anymore because of how hard it is to get three people with 80% of the votes. And that's a math thing. I mean, if you have, and out of this class, by the way, of the 15 finalists, 9 of them were first or second year eligible guys. And so I think there's a certain amount of recency bias that comes into some people's mind, and they haven't seen some of these guys that are finalists, but they haven't seen them play for 20 years or whatever it might be. And, I just saw this guy 5-6 years. And that enters the thing. So I don't know that there's any such, I'm sure there are, and there probably will be, some first time eligibles get in this year. But I think I'll say that there was no drop the mic for Drew Brees or Larry Fitzgerald and the other first time guys this year. There was discussion and there was, talk. And so I think that, I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm just saying it happened. There wasn't a drop the mic. And I think guys are realizing that even though out there people are saying slam dunk first timer, he's a future Hall of Famer. Those are people I think who don't realize how hard it is, number one. but also within, like I said, within this process now, you can't assume anything. I mean, last year, Adam Vinatieri and Luke Kuechly were in that final 7 group, but didn't get 80%. And many people thought, well, they should have been first-time guys. The year before was still the old thing, and everyone couldn't believe that Antonio Gates wasn't a first-time eligible. So it happens sometimes. Now, I'm not comparing what they did to Bill Belichick, but I'm just saying on the whole first-time eligible thing, I think that gets raised on a pedestal that maybe is too high and gets looked at too much. And it's unfortunate too. We all know how nasty and vulgar and mean and ugly social media can be, but some of the comments out there that anybody who voted against them should have their vote stripped, and they it's the incompetent media, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, and I realize that that's the feeling of people, and we can't be swayed by any of that, but that's the response that you get. And so anybody who comes out and admits that they vote for him, I mean, they're going to hear it. And it's not just, okay, I see your point. I disagree, but I see your point. You never hear that from that group. It's all, everybody's everybody's stupid, everybody's incompetent. And that's the atmosphere that we are in, not only in sports, but as we know, in a lot of other things.
Do you agree that, okay, so do you believe that people in the room, when you guys and you 50 guys and gals are in that room and you're debating, are there people that do stand up and dissent and say why they shouldn't be in? Because there's conversation out there, and I know you're not supposed to talk about another voter, so I'm making it vague here, because that's one of the bylaws here. Because Jason, when I asked him the question about a particular guy, he basically told me, I really love Bill Polian, and then he went silent. And so I kind of got an understanding. But is there people in the building that when you guys are in there that stand up and dissent when they hear a name that going, when you guys are going around the room and there's somebody going, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, do people stand up and go, here's why I don't think he is?
There's some, I can't, like you said, I can't comment on that extensively, but it becomes part of the discussion. It became part of the discussion with Terrell Owens. And there was, those who were saying that, there were certain things that they didn't like about, what he did during his career.
It's like a jury. It's like a jury. It's like a jury in a way where you're being judged in that room, and there's dissenters and there's people that want to push him across the line. It's almost like these players and coaches and contributors it's like a jury with certain people when they're debating whether they're Hall of Famers. Is that correct?
And some of it sometimes in the form of questions. Someone will say, well, I have an issue with this. What can someone say to counter that? And that sometimes it's framed in that way, in terms of something that but the bottom line is, whoever the guy is, everything that they did is up for grabs and up for discussion, and that's part of the process. I can say that Bill Belichick's the discussion about him was the longest of any of the 20 people we discussed that day. It went on for about 45 minutes. And so, that's neither here nor there. I mean, it's
are you shocked with the report, that the report is, and by the way, I think that report, and I completely agree with you, I think it's unfair to the voters that thing got released like this, because I mean, you guys are right to have an opinion about a player or a coach or a contributor's contribution to the game. I mean, people may disagree with it. People may agree with you, but you have a right to that because you're put in that position for a reason. So I think that is unfair. But I mean, you tell me. I mean, what do you make of him? Just the story, if it is true that he's not a first ballot, do you think it's the right decision?
Well, I don't know that there's any right or wrong, but I was surprised by it. And again, assuming that it's true, I was surprised. I think, there's some pushback. There's, I mentioned the point earlier about how the legion of people that would talk about, oh, the Patriots are cheaters, they're this, they're that. And now all of a sudden people are saying that shouldn't even be considered. Well, I don't know how you don't bring that in to the conversation about someone in terms of their of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So yeah,
and you took that into your vote too, right? The Spygate, the Flakegate. You took that into your vote too on how the decision you made.
yes, I mean that I'm sure everybody does, and they say, well, how much should I weigh this? And then how much should I weigh this when I'm deciding? And here's another part about it. You know, everyone always throws out the word snubbed or this guy, you know, whatever this was. And I've always said this about myself. I believe this is the way everybody else votes. They vote. I don't vote against somebody. I vote for people. And you just look at it all and say, these are the ones that this year I think are most deserving. But like I said, I sure wish it was back, you know, to the other way of doing it. And then we wouldn't, I don't think we'd be having this discussion today. And who knows, like I said, who knows what it's going to be for Robert Kraft or any other very strong seniors class, you know, with Roger Craig and L.C. Greenwood and Ken Anderson, who's been overlooked for a long time. I mean, Dan Fouts was a first-time Hall of Famer. You look at Ken Anderson's accomplishments, and they were right there with Dan Fouts, and he's been eligible for a couple of decades, more than that. And he's been talked about in seniors meetings. This was his first year as a finalist to be in the big room, so to speak. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but to me, he's very deserving too. And he does. So it happens with a lot of people. And it's just that, you know, Bill Belichick is this, oh my goodness. And all that, like I said, it's just strange to me, all the criticism that he got for certain things, then all of a sudden, oh, shouldn't even consider that. And I'm saying, well, how can you not? I mean, I think that, and then it's up to each individual voter, like you said, how much to weigh that in contrast to the other people, you know, that you're looking at. And we can only vote for 3 of those 5. I wish, quite honestly, I've said this many times, I wish it wasn't this way. And I wonder now, after last year, the Hall of Fame said, well, we're not going to change. Last year might have been an outlier, this and that, but we'll still listen to everybody and their opinions and all those things. This could result in a change in that process, because it would be blind that the process and how the vote is, the process is a weird word, but how that final vote is conducted and what you have to do to get in, that you'd be blind not to say that had an impact on it, even if you're one of those that say slam dunk should be a first time guy. And I don't quarrel with those who feel that way, but like I said, I don't know if there is such a thing anymore as a slam dunk first time guys, even though there will be first time guys, whether it's this year or some ensuing years, that will be elected.
Did you vote for him?
I've said this since yesterday, and people have asked, and I said, until the vote is official, I haven't decided if I will reveal that. The Hall, I know guys have said they've given their opinion. The Hall suggests that we don't, and I'm not saying which way I'm going to go, but I'm going to reserve whatever I say more on this until after next Thursday, and we know what the result is, because then we can see more in terms of trying to, trying to explain and to give reasons that this happened, even if there will be many people obviously that don't agree with it.
So if we're going to go by some of the things that were said in the room on Deflategate and Spygate, obviously that same principle has to be applied to Brady on first team consideration for, or a first ballot Hall of Fame, because you can't use one metric for one guy and then turn around and use a completely different metric for another guy. Can you? I mean, Brady was the executor of the plans that were done by Bill Belichick. If that's one of the things or two of the things that kept him out, then Brady has to be judged by that same philosophy, doesn't he also?
Some have said that, and I don't think that Deflategate was as much of an issue, because there was the belief. I think there was the belief that Belichick knew nothing of that, and it was a one-time thing where it was, who knows how many other games it happened. We don't know, but it was a one-time thing in one game. I mean, Spygate went on for like 7 or 8 seasons, and there was so much on the tape. There were so many tapes that the league and the Patriots kept them all. It's not like they'd film one year and then get rid of them. They kept them all. And then I always raise the question, they destroyed the tapes.
Commissioner destroyed them.
Yeah. So why do you do that? Was there stuff on there that they wanted to make sure that no one ever saw? And so that went on for quite a long time. And I see people putting out there, well, no, Spygate wasn't about this. They were legally taping. It's just they were illegally taping, and so I think that went on for a lot longer than just that one Colts game, and that was a flawed investigation. Many people believe that nothing ever should have happened to Brady. So I don't know that you're going to judge him on that one-time thing that happened, as opposed to maybe judging a little more on something that went on for quite a long time. And who knows how much longer it might have gone on had they not been caught.
Do you believe what Jared Bell says, that votes and the voters and how you voted, you guys should be transparent and the vote should go out and show who you guys vote for when it comes to consideration for the Hall of Famer? Do you think that still should be basically held in that room to the 50 men and women that vote on the Hall of Fame?
I wouldn't have a problem if it was done. I will say one thing, and you referenced this earlier when you said something about the Hall of Fame knowing. From what we understand, the Hall of Fame doesn't even know.
Oh, okay. I thought they would know the totals
because it goes to an accounting. Now they might know. They might be told the total. From what I'm told, it goes to an accounting firm and some software where the vote goes, and then the Hall of Fame is told, here's the guys that reached the threshold. Now, they might know if someone was a little bit close. I don't know. Maybe they're told a little bit more. But in terms of knowing the absolute vote and knowing who individually voted, I don't believe, or how individuals voted, I don't believe they know that. So if it came down to that, I know one of the things is because of the uniqueness of this process and where there's guys presenting. I mean, the one thing they want to protect that to a degree. I mean, suppose you're presenting a guy in your market, right? And you're supposed to go all in on that guy, but suppose deep down you don't think he's a Hall of Famer, and then you don't vote for him. You imagine that guy in his market is going to become such a pariah because, oh my gosh, he's covering the team, he didn't vote for him. I mean, it would be insane. And so I think that's one of the concerns, with doing that. Baseball, of course, there's 400, however many there are now. There's like close to 400 people voting, and you can vote for 10 people and all this. And so if all of a sudden, and there's usually, the only time that ever comes up really is controversial is if someone misses by 2 or 3 votes, and then everybody wants to know, oh my goodness, who didn't vote for him? But even if they miss by 2 or 3, there's still a bunch of other people that didn't. When you have this small number of 50, where the difference in someone, I mean, what the heck? Bill Belichick might have got 39 votes for all we know. And if he got one more, he's in. And no one's even talking about all this. But that's one of the, not dangers, but that's one of the things inherent in this process, that there's so few voters that only a handful of votes can make the difference of whether you move on from the 25 to the 15 to the 10 to the 7. And then in that last vote, it can make a huge difference because there's just not enough votes to go around. I mean, if you think about it, if there's one person, well, let's look at last year. If one person got 40 votes last year, Sterling Sharp got the 40, and we believe he did. Maybe he got a couple, but if he got 40, right, there's only 110 votes for the other 4 people. Do the math on that. That's an average of 27 and a half or whatever it might be. So consider then how hard it would be for another person to get 40. And that's why many of us think that this process has made it so much harder that it's become unfair to a lot of people who are deserving to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Let me ask you this last question here then. If Bill Belichick's being held to this standard where Spygate and Deflategate, why isn't Robert Kraft being held to that same standard then too? Because that would be under the assumption that they believe that Robert Kraft was more important and more instrumental in what Belichick and Brady did together as quarterback and coach. I mean, this goes back to, again, owners, I get it. I mean, he hired him. There's no question. And his resume with 3 different regimes going to Super Bowls, I agree with you 100%. But to me, I mean, I was told that you guys don't put politics or personal opinions in this vote. Boy, it just comes off like there's a lot of things outside. And I'm not, Howard, I've known you a long time, and I'm not throwing you in there. And I think it's unfair, like Jared said, to put and clump everybody into conversation, because there's a lot of things being said right now on social media about the 50 men and women that voted, and it's not cool. And you guys are caretakers of the sport. However, it just seems that Bill, with perception, it may be wrong, but there's perception that it was more than just those two things, and it was more about the way he talked to the media, the way he carried himself. It just seems to be there's more to this than just Spygate and Deflategate. Al Davis did thousands of things that could have been questioned. I mean, you know that. I mean, turning on the sprinklers when the Chargers came in and all that. Everyone knows, the way the game was back then. I mean,
and there's a lot of people believe, Dan, that when Al Davis got elected, they had a minimum and that he didn't have the 80%. But we were never told that. But I will say this in terms of the personal part of it. I can't speak for everybody else, but and I've said this many times, Warren Sapp wasn't liked by the media. And if
a lot of other people.
Yeah. If we voted, if he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes.
So if we were voting because we didn't like someone, Warren Sapp wouldn't have got in on the first ballot. It's been said that we didn't vote for Terrell Owens a couple of years. Remember, he did get to the finals, but that those who voted against him, they didn't like him. No, it wasn't that they didn't like him. They didn't like some of the things he did while a player and was divisive on teams he was with, that caused two of his head coaches at San Francisco and Philadelphia to suspend him for conduct detrimental to the team. So I don't buy for a second that anybody who voted against Bill Belichick did it because, we didn't like the guy because he was the way he was in the media. There's a lot of coaches that are like that in the media. But I just don't believe for a second that anyone would take that into account when they decide who to vote for and whether they're voting for someone else and says, I don't like the guy. No, I don't believe that. I know that perception's there, but I don't think that's fair, and I don't believe for a second that it's accurate.
Can we get you on next week after the vote becomes public? I'd like to talk to you because I'd like to get your thoughts on the process and how the votes all played out. I'd like to get you on next week and talk about it because obviously you were conflicted by this vote. I can just tell by the way you and I are talking right now. It was conflicting for you on the vote. Would that be at least fair to say?
Yeah. And I am on a lot of them because I'll tell you something. The most humbling thing and the most hard thing I do every year, whether it's Bill Belichick or anyone else, is we have that bit looking at that and say, who am I going to vote for? Who am I going to vote for? This is hard because, the people you're not voting for, you don't know if that's going to matter, but you're making that decision that's life-changing for these guys. So I would say I'm conflicted every year. It's hard, and I often say to people, you vote and you cut this down. And they see how hard it is.
Jason said, I'll judge your ass then, right?
It might be hard because it's announced on Thursday night and I've got a bunch of stuff going on Friday. And so it might be hard to do it next Friday, but I'll certainly hold it over until the following week. And then once I'm back home, definitely I'll be willing to come on and talk about it.
I think you've been absolutely spectacular today. And I can't thank you enough for taking us in the room because it's one of the more polarizing stories. Usually we don't get really any stories in the bye week of the Super Bowl here. And here we go. We got a really great one here. Howard, it is always great catching up with you. Thank you so much, my friend.
My pleasure, man. Talk to you soon. Take care.
You bet. One of the greats, Howard Balzer. Thank him so much for coming on like that. Yeah. Wow. What a storyline. And he's right, too, that they don't know the results until next week. And I didn't know that it went to an accounting firm, too. So, again, some people have made their vote public. Howard wanted to wait until the whole thing came out so that he can explain yes or no and how he went. So, fair enough. We always do that. We appreciate everybody. Big Z, Joe, 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip side.